All right.
How you doing? All right. Here we go again. So, anyone who's watching, it might be a bit let people come in at the moment, but we're live again for our 1983 list, best rock and metal albums of the year. So, guys, brilliant year. Obviously, not as I don't know if you've noticed, not as many. All of a sudden, there was a big drop. So, obviously, 84 was a big explosion in rock and metal. But 83 great albums, but just not quite as many. So, but still a brilliant year. And obviously, we're going to get on to our choices.
Do you know what's interesting? Because we've been weirdly working backwards, it was interesting going through the list and going, hey, you know what? We're actually getting to where the bands that we've been talking about for the previous 7 years. This is a year where a lot of them made their break. You know, they came on the scene or they had their breakthroughs. We've got to the point now we're at the Adam level of where just as the bands were taking off.
Yeah. I think it's important to remember as well. I mean, we think, it was not a great year for perhaps rock and metal, but this is where it started. Don't forget. I mean, rock and metal probably only started 78, wasn't it? Really, properly. You know what I mean? It's still the early doors for a lot of these bands, and it's going to get thinner and thinner. 1980 is going to be pretty scarce, for lots of aspects.
Yeah. But we can talk shit for longer, can't we? I'm sure we can, at that. While everyone's joining, watching it live, they're starting to top up. Just want to introduce you guys, obviously, because we have got one change here tonight from the usual crew. But I'll introduce everyone else first. We've got the sexy Mark Cloer. How you doing, mate? All right. We got Bryan. We got Bryan Lee. He's with us. I've got him in the bottom middle square on my screen. I don't know how they are on yours. I've got obviously Jams here as usual. How you doing, mate?
All right.
We've got Darren O Sullivan, the best Irish bloke I know.
Am I the only Irish bloke you know?
Yeah, you are. But, I do love an Irish accent though. So you are my favourite accent on here tonight, without a doubt.
Well, I'm okay, but are you 2K?
Yeah, all right. Oh. Let me introduce Dalena first. So Dalena's here tonight. Jonathan couldn't make it. He's got some issues. So Dalena's here. She stepped in the last minute. Yesterday, I asked her to come on. So welcome, Dalena. Welcome back.
Thank you.
We sort of lost you a bit last time with the with your internet, but she's got the highest speed ever now. So
it's still not fantastic. So I hope I make it through. But thanks for having me.
No problem at all. So, I mean, we've all voted on 83. I have got some comments already from the guys, so I'll let them know them in a minute. But we have all voted for 83. If anyone's watching who hasn't seen this before, we all just get our best albums together, what we loved from that year. So we're not talking the best albums as the chart topping ones or anything like that, the most successful. It's just what we like. And if we get matches, then they make the list. So we've got matches for two of us voted for some, and it's gone all the way up because I've included Jonathan's votes, and I've also got sort of Dalena told me her favourites off of the list. So some of them we've got up to 7. We have actually got 7 votes tonight. Everyone voted for a couple of these. So and Dalena's going to lead on a couple that she wants to talk about. But obviously we all share and all chip in and all that crap as usual. Yeah. So we're on the beer tonight. We're on the beer.
Yes.
I've mixed it up tonight. I've gone with the Pyromania tonight. I've gone Italian. Oh. The Irishman's gone Italian. There you go. Bang.
I'll keep it to the Americans. I'm sticking with Miller.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've said it once. I'll say it again, Jam. That's the coolest beer bottle out there. Not the nicest beer, but the coolest bottle. Yeah.
Love this beer.
I have Tito's.
Oh, yes. You're going hard.
So they make vodka?
It's vodka.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I mean, it's early enough for vodka, right? Or late enough for vodka, right?
It's ain't vodka. It's fine.
I mean, it's only 2 here.
You mean there's actually a vodka time? I mean, if you don't drink before 11 a.m., I don't need you as a friend because I don't need that kind of negativity.
I like you, Brian. I like you.
Before we start, I just want to give a plug for Darren's channel. So Darren's his channel Sleeve Saturday. amazing channel. And Darren, I mean, we're going. You said congratulations on my subscribers a minute ago, but you are very close to 1,000 yourself.
He is so close to 1,000. I'm trying so hard too. He's so close.
Yeah,
tough slog. You know what it's like, Lee. So appreciate that.
Congrats, mate, and also 41,000 on one of your videos, which is absolutely fucking amazing. Wow. So well done, mate, for that.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate that.
So,
thanks for that.
Anyone who watches this tonight, or in the next few days, make sure you subscribe to Darren's channel. Make it 1,000. Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Appreciate it, Lee. Thanks, mate.
No worries, mate. Right, okay. Should we get some comments quickly before we start?
Let's do it.
No spoilers, no spoilers.
Look at this. Jonathan's here. Hey guys, miss you all. Driving across the plains of Illinois. Wish I was hanging with you. Wow, cool. We miss you too, man.
Miss you, mate.
Miss you, buddy.
Next time.
Yeah, next time, mate. But we have got Dalena here, so you know that's better than anyone who could come on here. You know, other than yourself, obviously, Jonathan. I need to creep round it, Dalena. So you know,
100%.
He is one of the regular idiots. We got. All right, this is Ingwe. He messages me on Facebook. He's under Ingwe. Hi, Lee. I'm Ferris Ingwe. Yeah, that's cool. My daughter. Here you go. She's joined us. Amber.
Hello, hey, Amber.
Amber Lee Spencer.
That's it. Yeah. So this is Ingwe again. I love everything you do, sir. Oh, look, I love this. Look, all your reactions and chats. You have amazing taste in music. He must be talking about me.
No.
Oh, look, Sleep Sunday's back to it.
It is his Pyromania.
That's brilliant.
I'm drinking the remnants of beer from my mates being here. Good to see Sleep Sunday again.
Ingwe, or MZ on here, says hi, everyone. So say hello back.
Hey.
Cool. Okay, cool. Amber, Sleep Sunday's back. She's noticed as well. She loves it. Born distracted, hello, fairy, iridium, effers, fuckers. Oh, yeah. You can say fuckers, mate. We don't care. So, yeah, the Iridiats are back again. So, I love that name. I can't even remember who
I love it.
It was
John came up with that.
Who was it, Jonathan?
Yeah, it was John.
Yeah, very, very good. And it's stuck and it's absolutely brilliant. What a brilliant name,
love
the Iridiats. Okay.
Time for a new t-shirt design, Mark.
Yeah. I've already been thinking, buddy.
Exactly. Brilliant. Right. Okay. So what I sent to you guys, the list is still the same, but the order might change slightly because of Dalena's votes now. So we're still going to talk about the same because I've added Dalena's votes as well as Jonathan's to the list. All right. So some of them might move up a little bit. That's all. Cool. So we're going to start with the 2 votes. I think. Oh, before we start, actually, there's a bit of a surprise for you guys. Honestly, this is a big surprise, and Mark's going to keep it under his hat no longer.
That's right.
Mark, are you ready for this?
Yeah!
Oh, look at that.
What's that? He's got a buzz cut.
Unbelievable.
Come on,
for anybody who thinks I'm creeping on Lee, I'm really not. I've been toying with this idea for a while, but when you have helicopters circling your head trying to land on your bald spot, it's time to
Man, I gotta be honest with you. That is fucking badass.
That's my son behind me. That's Cameron. He's the metalhead, and he's the metalhead, and his wife right here. This is Maddie, his wife.
All right, nice.
Hello. Family affair.
So I wanted to get them on here and tell them hi, and of course they know Uncle Mark up there.
What do you think of Mark's new badass haircut?
Yeah, what do you think of Mark's new haircut, Cameron?
That's good.
The first thing I thought of was going canoeing down a river.
You hear banjos?
Mark, I was going to do that. Now you've spoiled it for me.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you were.
He messaged me the other day and he said, look, I've had enough of this, trying to keep hold of this. I haven't got any more. I'm thinking of shaving it off. Of course you should shave it off. You've got to do it, ain't you? You've got to do it. If you lose it, mate, it's got to go.
Suits you, Mark. Suits you.
It does. It definitely does.
It does.
I told him to save it for the live stream. Take it off live.
Now I'll fit right in with Lee, Dom, and Kent Schreiber.
Exactly.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Brotherhood of the Bald.
Yeah, I look at Born Distracted. We need a Idiots merch. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we do. Okay. All right, guys. So we're going to get on with the list. We've got 16 albums. So we had like 25 last month.
Yeah.
Mental.
Yes.
Yes. So we got 16. So, but it's still quite a few to talk about. We're going to go for the 2 votes first, of course. Mark has obviously got a few clues what the first album we're going to talk about might be. But I am actually
what gave it away?
Yeah, but I am actually going to turn to Jam. It's going to be both of you going to talk about it. We'll go Jam first.
Okay.
I think.
Well, it's got to be Mark. It's got to be Mark, surely.
Well, I don't give a shit really. So we can go Mark if you want. I mean, it's got all the gear. You got the album. Might as well just just get all the merch out. Look at that.
There we go.
So
is it still sealed?
Sorry. Yeah.
Is it still sealed?
Got the plastic on it. Yeah.
Okay.
£14.50 in probably back in the 80s. That's quite a lot of money I paid for that.
Hey, fucking yeah.
Lyrics as well. Got lyrics, I think.
Look at that.
Inside sleeve.
Now, I'll tell you what, before you talk about the album, I love the cover.
Yeah, I love it as well. Yeah.
Everyone has a go about it and all that. There's nothing more evil than an evil little fucking baby, is there?
It's brilliant. Yeah, it's a great cover. I don't know what people go on about it. It's a great cover.
Yeah. So, Mark, chat to us about this controversial album, mate.
All right. It's the 11th studio Sabbath album. It's the only one with Ian Gillan on vocals, and the last album that Bill Ward played on. He came back, did one studio new song on the reunion album, but this was the last full album Bill Ward played on. Gillan obviously came from Deep Purple, and when he joined, there was a lot of dissatisfaction in the press that Ian Gillan had joined Black Sabbath. People were calling it Deep Sabbath. It was kind of a mismatch, to be honest. Gillan was so different than Ozzy or Dio. He has such a unique voice, though, that in my mind, this is one of the most evil sounding Black Sabbath albums in the entire catalog. He has a way of.
Not as evil as that. Look at that thing. Sorry,
Yeah.
mate, go on.
Mark,
sorry.
what do you mean by evil sounding? Are we talking lyrically, or do you kind of mean in the sonics of it? What do you mean evil?
Both. Yeah. If you've never heard the album, you would just have to listen to it, Darren. I can't really describe it. Ian, his voice is just so evil sounding. And then lyrically, he wrote about real world or real life events, whereas in the previous eras, Geezer, who wrote all the lyrics in the early era with Sabbath or with Ozzy, he wrote about war and drugs and the occult, religion. And then when Dio came in, obviously he had his fantasy type lyrics. Ian took real life events and turned them into songs. Like this album was recorded at Richard Branson, the billionaire who just recently went into space. It was recorded at his studio called The Manor, and they basically lived there throughout the recording of this album. And a couple of the songs trashed. Ian Gillan got drunk one night, took Bill Ward's car and went out on the go-kart track, got up to 100 miles an hour, flipped it, almost ended up in the canal, just about killed himself. Anyway, he wrote the song Trashed based on that. And then Disturbing the Priest, which is my favorite song on the album, and gets my vote as probably the most evil sounding Black Sabbath song. The manor was next to a Catholic church, and when Sabbath was recording, they were disturbing the priest who was at the church nearby. So that's what that song was based on. In fact, Ian Gillan invited the priest out for a drink, and they became drinking buddies, which I think is cool.
Of course they did.
Just imagine the singer for Black Sabbath and a Catholic priest sitting around a pub getting shit-faced. I mean, that's just classic.
Well, I suppose he was writing real-life lyrics before that. I mean, I don't know if he wrote the classic, which I can't handle actually hearing anymore, Smoke on the Water was a real-life, the studio burning down, wasn't it?
Right, right. And that's how Gillan wrote his lyrics. A lot of times he used cryptic lyrics. You didn't always know exactly what he was getting at, but they were almost always based on events that he had experienced. But anyway, the album cover, like we were talking about earlier, Ian Gillan said when he saw the album cover, he puked. He was not a fan of the album cover, but I like it. It's so Sabbath. It's like Lee said, that's about as evil as you can get.
Yeah,
I had to keep this one hid from my parents.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
I mean, babies are evil enough as it is without giving them fangs and fucking shit. So, do you know what I mean? So it's even worse, isn't it? Well, jam a little bit on this one, mate.
Yeah, it's one of them albums. I think a lot of people, supposed Black Sabbath fans, are the first to slag it off and put it at the bottom of their list. I mean, maybe not after, maybe Forbidden is there, but it's easily written off, and I think it's some good stuff on here. And love the album cover. I think the production's a bit tinny. It's not great, but I absolutely love the song Trashed. I think it's brilliant. There's a great video for it. I didn't mind. I think if he'd done more stuff, I think Gillan could have fitted in with Black Sabbath. Controversial, I know, but I think it was pretty good. Trash is a great song. Zero the Hero is a great song off here. Yeah. Digital Bitch is a good song. I think I quite like that. So it's certainly not their worst album, and I enjoyed it. That's all I've got to say. That I think Mark's covered most of the things. Great album cover.
The production was terrible. I will say that. Yeah. According to Tony Iommi, the master tapes were lost, and very recently they finally found them. So he's talking about remastering it or whatever to make it sound like it was originally intended to sound. But the sound is very.
It could take some of that away from it, though, because as far as I know, it's part of the vibe of the album, isn't it?
It's certainly overlooked by Sabbath, or a lot of people, and dismiss it. I think it should be revisited definitely by supposed Sabbath fans without writing off.
Yeah, the muddy production actually adds to the charm of the album. If they did spruce it up, it may ruin it. I don't know. If they ever do it, it'd be interesting to see what it sounds like.
One thing I think it has gained, though, is even though it was a bit slagged off at the time, I think it's gained a bit of a cult status as over time, if you know what I mean.
Mark's right about being evil and heavy, though. It's fucking. I mean, Trash is a really heavy and fast song. It steps up the pace from.
One more thing. This is a bootleg called Gillan the Hero. It was recorded in I think it was Worcester, Massachusetts. But I was going to say Gillan actually did a very credible job on the old Ozzy stuff when he performed it live. He was more convincing doing the Ozzy stuff than I think Dio or even Tony Martin, because Ozzy and Gillan both have that kind of evil sound to their voice. Dio and Martin, are much more clean, classic type singers. And Gillan, he did very well with the Ozzy stuff, not so much with the Dio stuff, but it was definitely an interesting tour.
Yeah, that's cool. We're going to go to some comments, guys. That was brilliant chat about that.
Throw them up. What have we got?
We've got Luca. 83 was a great year for hard rock and metal. Unfortunately, it was also the year British metal started to decline and European and American metal scenes started to boom. I think we can't argue with that. Doing our lists, you can tell the shift very soon after, can't you?
Yeah.
We're not going to give anything away, by the way. If anyone mentions an album that we've got, you know, we may get onto it later, but we will mention one.
Yeah, people can throw up the albums. It might come along.
Oh, look at this. This guy knows what he's talking about, doesn't he? Yeah, Pure Metal Fan Magazine, Dio, of course.
Simple.
Good vibes. Yeah. Oh, well, maybe. I'm sure we might be mentioning that.
We'll see.
We might be mentioning that. We'll see. Top 10 British albums. Look at this. So we've got Magnum, Gary Moore, good shout. Cool, Saxon, Iron Maiden,
maybe.
Grim Reaper. Obviously, I think he's got another 5 to come. So he's done them. He'll be doing the other 5. Yeah, I don't know why I don't do them all together. I don't know if you can't fit them on a thing or what. I don't know. But very good, some of them. Very cool. Well,
and maybe mention later.
Yeah, maybe later. No, that's good. Naming actual British albums. That's quite cool, isn't it?
Yeah. Is Dummy in the chat? Give us a thumbs up, Dummy, if you're there, or Red Devils, if they're in the chat. Any sign of Dummy or Red Devils tonight? Maybe they're taking another.
Yeah. Red Devils mentioned something earlier on about see you later. Can't wait till later. So,
cool. Right. Excellent. Good stuff.
All right, okay, we're going to go on to the second album, guys. Now, myself and Darren voted for this one. And it's Thin Lizzy, Thunder and Lightning.
Oh, you threw me. I thought we were going, okay, all right, fair enough.
We mixed the order a little bit because Dalena's voted now. So she's upped some of the votes, if you know what I mean.
Right, okay, so, gotcha. Kick off, Nick.
Well, this is my actual favourite Thin Lizzy album. I fucking love this album. The last one before Phil Lynott died, last studio album. There was a live album as well after this called Life. I just think with the addition of John Sykes, this was when I think everyone took notice of John Sykes and how good he was on this album. Cold Sweat, the title track Thunder and Lightning, Baby Please Don't Go. It's just a brilliant album. My favourite track on it, Holy War, which is just outstanding. I've got the cat on my albums now. Get off my albums, you little shit. Holy War is just fantastic. Yeah, I did notice I did a Thin Lizzy top 10 or 12 tracks or something a while ago, and a Thin Lizzy fan had a little bit of a go about the album, saying it was too poppy and, you know, compared to their older stuff. It was a lot different, and they were sort of entering that 80s sound, you know, more.
It kind of has that thing in here, Lee, that I thought that you might like. There's a bit of twin lead guitar. Now you like going on it. You like talking about. There's a good bit of twin lead in here, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, Thin Lizzy, to tell you the truth, sort of pioneers for that. And I sometimes hear a lot of twin lead guitar in rock music, not so much in metal, but when you hear it in rock music, straight away I think of Thin Lizzy. I think of Thin Lizzy straight away. It's funny, isn't it? Phil Lynott didn't have the best voice, but I just think it fitted perfectly.
Didn't matter
with this band. It didn't matter. He's a great songwriter, almost talking lyrics sometimes, but very cool the way he put himself across. And apparently, like we're going to talk about another album later, and he heard another album that we're going to talk about a lot later on. Apparently, Phil Lynott heard this album, and John Sykes did. And it blew their minds, and they said, "Well, that's it. We might as well give up. We'll get onto that album later." All right.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's the conversation they had when they heard a certain album that we're going to get onto later. They said, "Well, it's all over. We might as well just fucking throw the towel in, listen to this album." But that comes later.
I can imagine what that is.
Yeah.
Well, I think Lee on this album, you know, as you said, it's their 12th and final album. I think poor old Philo, you know, my fellow Irishman, you know, the drugs and the booze are kicking in a bit here. I think he died 3 years after this album was released. So, but that doesn't affect the music. I'm glad you mentioned the guitars, because we don't have Gary Moore on this. Gary Moore hasn't been around for a while at this point with Lizzy. But that little, as I was listening to it again today, I thought that's right up Lee's street with that bit of twin lead guitar. But I'd say that the way the album opens with the album title Thunder and Lightning, I think that still sounds really fresh. I still think it does. If you were reacting to a band bringing out Thunder and Lightning today, you wouldn't say that sounds 80s. You know, it still sounds really cool, really fresh. And it's the first song on the album, and both me and you done a video this week on LA Guns, Cannonball, and that's going to be the opening song for their new album. And I think we've said it a million times before. An album has to kick off right to get you in the mood, get you going for it. And Thunder and Lightning just sets the mood for this record, doesn't it? Like instantly you're going, I'm in. Not 9 tracks in total. You know what I like to call out a couple of deep tracks just as my finish off piece. Track 4, you've already mentioned it, the Holy War, big standout there, absolutely brilliant. And track 7, Baby Please Don't Go. Jam, if you're going to listen to a song from this album, track 7, some great shredding on that song. I don't know if you agree on that, Lee, but some great shredding on that. It'd be right up your street, Jam, I would say.
Yeah, it's one of them albums. I've heard it's their heaviest album. It's the one I keep needing to listen to. I never have done. I love Thunder and Lightning as a title track. And, definitely it would be my go-to Thin Lizzy album of choice. If someone said to listen to one, I would have gone and started with it. So I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's the most metal album. Sorry, mate, it's the most metal album they made. I think they were heading towards this with some tracks, like Angel of Death on the album before was heading towards this sort of sound. But they did go more metal. Earlier on, they was sort of experimenting with a lot more different sounds. This was straightforward metal album, really.
It's an absolute pleasure to listen to it. I listened to the whole thing again today, and it's an absolute pleasure. 2 things, like I said, Jam, I thought of you instantly on track 7, and Sleeve Sunday was in the chat. I'd say if he was on this video now, he would be eulogizing over this because he's a big Lizzy fan. So great album.
I've got some messages. I've got loads of comments to go through, actually. So we've got the second half of the album. So here we go. Witchfinder, Satan.
Called the act,
Jaguar Fastway. See, Fastway sounded almost American, didn't they? With but obviously it's the guy out of Motorhead, wasn't it? It was Fast Eddie Clark. Yeah. Very good list, mate. Very good indeed. Yeah, Red Devils. Wash hands. What's that about, Darren? You must know that. What?
I don't know what he's talking about.
Little
cryptic messages going on.
I genuinely don't know what the fuck he's talking about. There you go, Sleep Sunday, Dara Cleary. My favourite Lizzy. I'm not surprised he's with us on that. Dara's a big Lizzy fan. Actually, I'd mention one thing. If any of you guys are ever in Ireland and Dublin, 1, come visit me and I'll bring you for some drinks. But 2, there's a great statue erected to Phil Lynott in Dublin City Centre, which is a really cool statue. So nice tribute to him.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. We've got another. Oh, shit. Sorry. Thin Lizzy went out with a bang with Thunder and Lightning. Absolutely love the album from Pyro.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Actually, that's a fair point, actually, by Pyro, just on that. It's good when a band actually goes out on a high, isn't it? As opposed to being petering out. I like that. That's a good point.
I mean, God knows where they would have gone after this album. We'll never know. But, it's interesting to find.
Especially when they don't know it's going to be the last one. You know, when bands sort of saying they're doing their last album, there's more pressure, isn't there? When they don't know it's the last album, you know.
Totally agree, mate. Totally agree.
But they're still together. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of them bands, and Phil Lynott was.
He was the band.
Yeah,
he was the band. Yeah, him and Gary Moore.
Yeah, look, Luke is he's on it tonight. Top 10 European. Accepts. Excellent. Heavy Load. Never heard of them.
Yeah, Europe, they're very heavy. I know that.
Trance and Silver Mountain. See, I've never heard a lot of them. Joshua. That must be the first. That must be the first album then, because I think Surrender was the second one.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh man, I love this track. Pyro's got that spot on. What a brilliant track! That mellow track on Thunder and Lightning. The Sun Goes Down.
Agreed. Great call.
Absolutely love that track. The second half, Vandenberg, Michael Schenker Group, Sortilege. Never heard of them. Or Volt. Very cool. Very cool. There you go. Hand is quicker than the eye. That's the Joshua album.
Yeah,
that's the first Joshua album. My Wave of 83 was Victims of the Future. That's Gary Moore in it.
Yeah.
Alcatraz. That must have been the debut, surely. Alcatraz.
Oh, is that Matey Boy?
Mark's head's looking fucking great. Well done, Dominic. There you go.
Thanks, Dom.
Absolutely brilliant. Love it.
Coming from a fellow bald guy, that makes me feel better.
Fucking badass. Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant.
Okay, so
what's next, Nick?
Next up, we're gonna go to. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go to Quiet Riot. Now, Dalena has voted for this one. So this was a 2. Now it's a 3 because Dalena's joined us. So it's Dalena. Jonathan voted for it. And Mr. Mark Cloer, Baldy voted for this one. And we're going to get Dalena to actually say a few words about this. So Dalena for the first time tonight.
I'll say a few words about this, about metal. It was actually my first experience with metal. Did it turn me into a metalhead? No, but it was their 3rd album. When it hit the Billboard Awards and knocked Police Synchronicity off, it like opened my eyes. I was like, wait, where did this come from? Why is Casey Kasem playing a metal song? Yeah, Come On Feel the Noise. I mean, come on. It was this album, like I was like, what? Who is this? Yeah, amazing album. It was like platinum, 6 times? It was number 1, right, Mark? Am I not mistaken?
It was the first metal album to hit the number 1 spot on the Billboard.
Yeah, it like opened the door for metal, put it in overdrive. Yeah, I love this album. I still love this album to this day. Loves a bitch. Yeah, I mean, and come on, Randy Rhoads. You can't. You just have to. Let's moment of silence for Randy Rhoads. They brought back Slick Black Cadillac on this album. What was on Quiet Riot 2, except the album that debuted on. And they brought it back on this album. Thunderbird, and they mostly wrote all of that song while he was alive, but then added a verse as a tribute for him. So that song just means a lot to me too. I just can't. And Rudy Sarzo, my favorite bassist of all times. I still follow him to this day. He retweeted me the other day.
Very nice. Very cool.
Love Rudy Sarzo. Quiet Riot to me, I love this album. I just can't say enough about it, but Mark, go ahead. I just love it.
Cool. Cheers, Dalena. Mark, on this one?
Yeah, a lot of people think this was the debut album, but there were 2 previous albums that were only originally released in Japan. And that was the 2 that featured Randy Rhoads.
Yeah.
Of course, Randy left Quiet Riot to go join Ozzy. And Carlos Cavazo stepped in on guitar, and I think he did an amazing job. He's a highly underrated, seldom discussed guitar player. This album, unfortunately, they never recaptured the magic of this album. Anything they did afterwards, paled in comparison to this one as far as commercial success. They had a few minor hits afterwards, but they really made their mark with this album, and unfortunately, they never really recaptured the magic. Of course, Kevin DeBro died in, I think, 2007, and then Frankie Banali died last year, or earlier this year, I guess it was. So they're down to no original members, but the band is still trying to carry on. Rudy just rejoined the band.
Yeah, they're coming back next year.
Yeah, even though he wasn't an original member, he was a member of the classic lineup that created this great album. So at least he'll add some stability to it.
I think you could say that. I mean, I never was a Quiet Riot fan. I heard a few songs, but I think I've seen a few documentaries. You could say this was the start of American metal, really.
It was. It definitely put it into overdrive. Yeah. To me, it opened the door for them. I mean, to hit the Billboard the number 1, to me, I mean, that like opened the door for them. Yeah.
No, cool. I think I had it on my 1983 opening track. I think I had the title track of this album on my All Killer list because I love it.
I love that title track too.
Yeah, I'm not heard the album, I must admit. I don't like Come Feel the Noise, and apparently the band didn't even know the song. It was the producer or the whoever introduced it.
I love that song.
Yeah, the thing is, Dalena, Slade are like they were a national institution for England. And you either loved them or you hated them. I didn't like them, so it was like, and it wasn't.
Come on, it's Christmas time when they come on.
that song especially. Fucking, it's Christmas.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Come on, it's great. What's wrong with you? Come on.
No, I'm sorry. Anyway. Let's get
that
was
some my
comments.
First and probably last metal album that I purchased.
Oh, okay.
Right, here we go for some of the comments. Look, the wash hands thing was an emoji that looked like a high five. Oh, right, okay. So he's high fiving you, Darren. Exciter.
Got it.
Exciter, yeah. Great metal band. Didn't hear a lot of them, but I've heard a few songs of Exciter. I don't know about you guys. Right, look at this. Dio, Dokken, Alcatraz. Oh, yes. Y&T, Luca. You are my favourite commenter tonight. No one mentions Y&T. Thanks for that.
Did you vote for it?
Of course I did, but no one else did as usual. So Y&T Mean Street. What a brilliant album.
Yeah, well, feel my pain, Lee. Spoiler alert. Huey Lewis and the new sports didn't get on.
Rocket Rod. 5:30
Mary, just remember that I didn't know.
Oh, look, hey, can you? Oh shit! What happened there? He's asking if we stay on for another. He's asking if we can stay on for another 10 hours because he's got to go work. He's in Australia.
No.
No.
I'll be at work.
We do.
So will I.
Not right. The rest of the list: Riot, Virgin Steel. They're still going now. I think Virgin Steel.
Sister, can't stop rock and roll.
Twisted Steel. Yeah. Right. Oh, cool. Very cool indeed. He's banging out the list tonight. Excellent work, mate. Well done. Okay, we're on to our next number 3 because we changed around a bit. But myself, Darren, and Dalena have voted for this. But Darren's going to kick us off on this. This is Survivor and Caught in the Game.
Just before we get onto it, I figured it out with Mark's new haircut. He's like the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy. Yondo, that cool, that badass guy. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. You know that guy. Yeah. Anyway, Survivor's fourth record, and their last with now. On this show, I have eulogized over Jimmy Jameson as we've gone back through the years. This was Survivor's last album with I wouldn't say equally brilliant, but still brilliant. Dave Bickler. So they're coming off the back of what everyone knows. The Tiger was before this. That was the iconic Survivor album that everyone knows and everyone knows. But as we know, I like the ones beyond. Lee, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think Caught in the Game is your favorite Survivor album. Am I right or am I wrong on that?
It is, but there's probably a reason. And I was thinking about this when we got the list together, and there's probably a reason for that. And it is one of the reasons is probably because it's the only Survivor I had as a kid. I don't know why I ended up with it, but I ended up with that album. I probably picked it up somewhere out of Woolworths or something like that. Or
right.
If anyone doesn't know what Woolworths is, it's a shop that ain't near, don't exist anymore. But
shop that doesn't exist.
Yeah, but it's the only one I had. So there straight away, it's the only Survivor album that I probably listened to when I was younger.
Right.
So that's probably the reason why it is. Perhaps if I had all the albums, the classic ones like Vital Signs, and I probably might have liked them more. But I had an attachment to this album because I had it. Simple as that.
You see, your love of this album kind of made it a bit infectious for me as well, because I'm obviously the Jameson side of things, but this is a great album, and I've only really started liking it more since we've had conversations about it. The writing,
I've written some of the tracks down, man.
We'll get into that if we can.
Oh yeah, go on.
The writing here again, and I think they are criminally underrated duo. I've said it time after time on your channel, Lee. Criminally underrated duo, songwriting team of Frankie Sullivan and Jim Peterick. Consistently, album after album. Change your lead singer, Jimmy comes in. Doesn't matter. Their songwriting ability is outstanding. I think there's a bit of bad blood now between them these days. I think Frankie Sullivan can be a bit, bit difficult sometimes, to say the least. But the man's a genius. He's a genius on guitar. He's a genius songwriter. The album's artwork is actually pretty cool as well, Lee. Did you say you had this back in the 80s? Because it's got that TV screen, and then it has the earth in the background, centered in the middle. So it's almost like the TV screen is in outer space, and then the earth is there. I love that sleeve cover. I think that's just absolutely brilliant. 2 songs I'll call out and let you guys talk about it. Obviously, the album's lead single, title track, and track 1 from the album, Caught in the Game. What a tune. Absolutely brilliant. Frankie's lead guitar again there. It's just absolutely brilliant. And what else did I had? Oh, a great ballad as well. Track number 3, I Never Stopped Loving You, is just a beautiful ballad as well. So you're getting a bit of a mix of everything. You're getting a nice rock and roll record, and you're getting a couple of ballads there. And Bickler's voice is still, he's top of his game here. They're coming off the back of their epic album, and they had something to prove. And to me, they knocked it out of the park.
I agree. Dalena, have you got anything on this one? Before I have a go about it?
Is that the one that had Ready for the Real Thing on it?
Yes.
I love that song. What do you really think? Is that one on that one too?
I'm not sure about that one.
I didn't make notes on this one because I wasn't prepared to talk about it, but yeah, I love this album too. Of course, Survivor.
Yeah, what do you really think was track number 7? Yeah, great song.
Yeah. Love this. One of my favorites too. Brilliant album.
So, I mean, I wrote down some tracks that I loved, and it was like I had to listen to it again because I hadn't heard it for so long, and I played it on YouTube when I was preparing for this. It just all came back to me, Caught in the Game, the title track. Jackie Don't Go, I just love that song. Like you said, Darren, the ballad, I'll Never Stop Loving You, is brilliant. Ready for the Real Thing, like Dalena said, love that song. And probably my favourite on it, Half-Life. Absolutely brilliant song, Half-Life. Got a really cool guitar melody. And finishes off with Santa Ana Wins, which is a real strong sort of ballad type thing. Yeah. Love the album. And I'm still not sure if I would like the other albums better because I'm not, a Survivor nut. But I mean, I'll tell you what put us off of Survivor a little bit here in Britain, I think, because they were a bit on the softer side when we were younger. They were a bit too... we wanted more guitar. It was a bit. You heard a piano. You was like, oh, hold on a minute. We want heavy metal. That's what we were like back in.
Well, you're not getting that from Survivor, but you're getting a good bit of guitar on this record, Lee. To be fair.
Yeah, but it was just the way we were back then. AOR back then was a little bit too soft for us.
Got it.
But I love it now. We're all old and boring. You know what I mean? I love it.
I think we were spoiled. With Survivor. I am a Survivor fanboy. We know this, but we were spoiled. Dave Bickler was so good. It's just Jimmy Jameson was better.
I don't really know about that. Seriously, if I love Dave Bickler, I think he's got a great voice. But there you go. That's controversial.
One of my friends is watching and just messaged me. He just bought the album Friday.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
There you go. Brilliant.
Tim, I got you, Tim.
That is very cool. Look, Red Devils loves Caught in the Game, 100%. There you go. Right, okay. We're going to move on. Now, I didn't know whether to let this one go or not because of the title. This actual series is the best rock and metal albums. But so many people voted for not just this EP, but another EP that we're going to speak about later. I thought I'd let it go. What does it matter? It just doesn't matter, does it? Rules are made to be broken. So. And a few people voted for this, so it's the Ratt EP. Yeah. So if anyone didn't vote for it because it was an EP, I'm sorry, but I just took the votes that voted for it. But Jam, Darren, and Jonathan voted for this. I'm going to let Jam kick off with this one. The Ratt EP, mate. Only three votes. Only 3 votes, by the way. Jam, Darren, and Jonathan.
I thought you would have voted for this, but fair enough. Debut album, debut EP from Ratt. I wish I had the cover because it's. Oh, you got it there. We go. So it's Ladies' Legs with a rat nibbling at them.
That was Tawny Kitane's legs, by the way.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah.
Right. That was Tawny Kitane's first appearance.
Brilliant. Yeah. Produced by Liam Sternberg, apparently. Classic lineup of Stephen Pearcy with his classic. I mean, his vocals are. It's Ratt as soon as you hear Stephen Pearcy. I mean, his vocals are second to none. Robin Crosby, Warren DeMartini, Juan Crucier, and Bobby Boxer on drums. I think it's a 6-track EP, and I think I've only got the 6 tracks. It wasn't until I looked at Wikipedia recently. Apparently, there was a 7th track in Europe. I've never heard it. It's called You're in Trouble. I don't know what versions you guys have got, but
I didn't hear that. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've not heard that song myself, so I have to dig that out. See if we can. What have you got there, Mark?
You're in Trouble is an actual. Well, that's the song. Is that the first version of the song off the debut album? Because that was on the debut album.
Because obviously,
it's not on this one.
It's not. No. Yeah. Back for More, of course, is on this as well, which is redone for the first album as well. Different version though, different recording. But no, this is a brilliant introduction to the band. It's all what they're about. I mean, if you like the first album, you like this EP. I love Walking the Dog, which is a cover version of Rufus Thomas, but made famous probably more by the Rolling Stones. Walking the Dog, great song, and it's just a great introduction to Ratt. And if you like what was to follow, a lot of people say obviously their first album, full length album, was their best one. You'd like this as well. It's almost the same as that, just released earlier on Music for Nations label. There you go.
I think the only reason I didn't vote for this is because I didn't hear Ratt until the debut album. So if I didn't even get to hear this. I listened to it a couple of times, but I think once I'd heard the production and that really cool debut album, to go back and listen to this was a lot rawer.
It's not raw.
It didn't sound as good, so I just didn't bother with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, because I made a note on this, Lee, and I was going to talk to you about it. I thought we've talked a lot about production in the 80s. Sometimes it sounds, Jan mentioned earlier on, like another record sounded a bit tinny. We've talked before about production in the 80s doesn't sound great. I thought this sounded really good. And I was going to ask you guys, am I listening to the wrong version? Has it been remixed? I thought it was quite good.
It could have been. I don't remember it being great, I must admit, but
right, okay.
I think some of it as well, Darren, was that they got a producer, Beau Hill, for the debut album and for the next few albums. It sort of solidified a certain sound for Ratt as well. They had a certain sound with that producer, and he just, I don't know, it just made, even hearing his production, you knew it was Ratt without Stephen Pearcy singing. It was just brilliant. Right. And I think it just sounded so different that it sort of put me off. It was a bit weird, but
I thought we'd be on the same page on that. That surprised me. Okay, fair enough. Maybe I was listening to a remix version of it or something.
No, I'll perhaps need to go and listen to it again. I mean, I don't remember it being brilliant. I don't remember it being terrible, but as I say, there's a version out there with an extra track on. None of us have heard, so there's probably multiple versions out there in there. So
anyway, last comment from me on this, Lee, is You Think You're Tough is the ultimate motorway driving song. Get behind the wheel of your car and blast that full blast. Great track.
Yeah, agreed. I want to go back quickly about the Survivor album. Something I forgot to say is that, I mentioned this on a reaction the other day. Some music or bands make you feel like you're in a certain place, or you're doing. Survivor really sound like a band, like you can imagine being in a city at night. Is that right for you? Do you think that? Certain bands make you feel like you're in a certain place. They just feel like
it's atmospheric a little bit.
Yeah,
it's kind of
It's just you can imagine being in a busy American city, and that's the music that's playing. It's just in a bar.
More with Bickler than Jameson, though, is what you're getting at. I think. Yeah.
Just weird. It's what I'll think of that.
I know what you mean. I'm with you.
Okay. Next, should we see if there's any comments? Oh, look at this comment. I don't know about this, but I don't know about Stephen Pearcy.
I didn't know that.
Unless that's just happened. I don't know, because last I heard about, they're talking about touring and stuff. So
I don't know.
It was a story on Blabbermouth. I don't remember what kind of cancer it is. I don't think it's terminal at this point, but he is fighting.
He is quite old. He was like 80. He was like 25 in 1983. He's quite an old man.
What you fucking trying to say? That is a little bit older than me still, so I'm all right with that. Okay. Next up, huge band I love this band. I didn't actually vote for this though, surprisingly enough. Cool. So Brian, Mark, and Jonathan, who's not here tonight, voted for this. Dokken, Breaking the Chain. So Brian's going to kick us off for this because Brian hasn't started yet.
Well, this is what a lot of people started me off on listening to Dokken, but wasn't a fan of all the songs on the album. I could have done without quite a few of them. I don't think the production was that great, but it still, made an impact on me. As far as metal goes, I'm trying to find my let's see. There we go. As far as for me, Paris is Burning and Breaking the Chains and In the Middle would have been fine for me on this album, and the rest could have just gone away. But it's what started me on the road as a Dokken fan, as a George Lynch fan, especially because you know his, especially on Paris is Burning, his guitar just sticks out like a sore thumb. You could just follow the vibe that he's leading with that guitar. And I will turn it over to someone else to add some.
Mark?
Yeah, this was the first Dokken song I ever heard was the title track, Breaking the Chains. It was on a compilation album that came out in '83, I guess it was, called Masters of Metal. And it included Trashed from this album. It included Street of Dreams by Rainbow. It included that Dokken song. Anyway, it was one of those compilation albums where they'd take one song from all these bands. And when I heard that song, I instantly liked it. I agree with Bryan. The vast majority of the songs on the album are fairly weak. The title track is great. Paris is Burning is by far the standout to me.
Yep.
Lee and I did a Dokken top 10 or top, I don't remember how many we settled at, top 15 or whatever it was, months ago. And Paris is Burning ranked real high on my list. And I have to correct something I said. I mentioned that the version of Paris is Burning is a live recording. And I mentioned it was odd because there was no studio version of that song. Well, turns out that is wrong. The original version of this album was released in France in 1981, and it included a studio version of Paris is Burning. And it turns out that song's actually a cover. George's original or band prior to Dokken was called Exciter, and he and Mick Brown were in that band. That was an Exciter song. And Dokken, you know, there was always a lot of bad blood between Don Dokken and George Lynch. Well, apparently it goes all the way back to that song, Paris is Burning. Don was trying to get a record deal. He asked George if George would come with him to Europe and record that song in the hopes of getting a record deal. George agreed to it, and then Don ended up recording it without George.
Ooh.
So he basically stole the song from Exciter. The original studio version that exists evidently doesn't even have George on it. Don played all the guitar, which says a lot for Don's guitar playing, because he used to play a lot of guitar back in the early days. He doesn't anymore, or not much. But back in the day, Don was a damn good guitarist himself. But anyway, he basically stole that song from George. So that's where all the bad blood started and continues to this day. But that original album that Don recorded for Europe featured Don on guitar, Bobby Blotzer from Ratt on drums, and Peter Balti, or however you say his name, from Accept. So there's a lot of pedigree involved in that early version of Dokken.
And
Lee, delete that Dokken video, Lee. That's an unacceptable error that Mark made.
What's that?
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
The error you made when we were talking about Paris is Burning a while ago, about the not knowing there's a studio version.
Unacceptable.
And I also forgot to mention this album was the only one to feature Juan Crochier from Ratt on bass, who was the bass player before Jeff Pilson came into the band.
Cool, mate. See, I've learned more again. Absolutely. To tell you the truth, the only reason I didn't vote for the album was literally I loved the track Breaking the Chains. Paris is Burning is good as well, but I thought it was, I didn't even vote for the next one, did I? Too for now, because I started getting into Dokken with Under Lock and Key, basically.
Yeah,
we got
it definitely got better as it went on.
I'm surprised that Red Devils hasn't heard of Ratt before. It's double T, by the way, Red
Double
Devils.
T, yeah.
If you want to start looking for any music.
I can't believe Alan Hipple has never heard of Ratt. I'm astounded by that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they were a huge band. They were a huge band.
Check out Invasion of Privacy first as the best album.
Yeah, Red Devil, spread the word. Get more visitors here.
Privacy, Jan. Don't start turning American on me, mate. It's privacy, all right? Okay, all right. That's brilliant, though. The next one we're going to talk about, we're actually going to skip one because there's been an extra vote on one. Okay. But we'll get to that one later. So we're going to go to Rainbow and Bent Out of Shape. So myself, Jam, and Mark have voted for this one. So, Jam, how do you feel about kicking this one off, mate?
Yeah. There we go.
You had to have the album, didn't you?
Yeah. No, right. Love this album. It's their 7th album. You don't believe it's that they've done that many albums, but it's their 7th album. Of course, the first with Jolene Turner on vocals, being their 3rd vocalist for Rainbow. Yeah, I suppose it must be. Produced by Roger Glover, obviously of Deep Purple fame as well. Richard Blackmore, Roger Glover, Jolene Turner, Dave Rosenthal on keys, and Chuck Berge on drums, apparently, whoever he is. It's just my first introduction to Rainbow. I might have mentioned this story before. I mean, when I was in A3, I was 7. We used to have like a lad up the road who looked after myself and my brother. I'll talk a bit more about this later. And he was into metal, obviously, at the time, and he did as a tape of that, as he did in them days. He did as a tape of this, so it was my first introduction. And we also have photocopies of like album sleeves on our wall. There's 2 others I'm not going to mention because we're talking about them later that I had on my wall as well. But this is one of them. This is one of my first introduction to rock and metal as a young lad of 7.
Nice.
And absolutely, it just sticks with you. As we always say, we've mentioned lots of times, your first album by a band might not be their first album. The first introduction is always your favourite to a certain extent. And I love this song. Yeah, Stranded. I mean, I love the song Stranded. Underrated Rainbow song. It's the first track of the album, but I love that song. Can't Let You Go. Street of Dreams. I mean, there's some top songs on here. It's not highly rated in the Rainbow catalogue by a lot of people, but it's definitely my favourite album. And there you go. Jolene Turner, awesome on vocals.
Oh yeah,
fully agree. Unbelievable,
brilliant. What you got then, Mark? I'm going to get a beer while you have a little say on this one, mate.
Yeah, I was just going to say they had gotten a lot more commercial by this point.
Yes.
The early stuff with Dio had that fantasy type stuff. They started getting more commercial when Graham Bonnet came into the band on the Down to Earth album, but Joe really took them in that AOR direction that I think Richie was really wanting to go. He wanted a radio friendly band, and he got it with Jolene Turner. Street of Dreams is one of my all-time favorite Rainbow songs.
Brilliant.
And this album actually has a bit of a Foreigner vibe to me. It's more, like I said, it's more AOR-ish than the early stuff with Dio or even Graham Bonnet. But a lot of these songs I could imagine being on a Foreigner album.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Lee, is Jolene Turner? He heads up the Frontiers project, Sunstorm, or he did for the first couple of albums?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
Great voice, unbelievable.
Yeah, but I mean, Stranded is my favourite Rainbow song, I think, and it's an underrated one. Opening track on this album. Yeah.
I mean, to tell you the truth, I mean, I voted for this one. I like the album, but those 2 tracks are some of my favourite Rainbow tracks ever. The 2 ballady type ones, Street of Dreams and Can't Let You Go, are just absolutely amazing songs. I love them both, and I can listen to them all day. Those tracks, absolutely brilliant. Jolene Turner is fantastic on those. Well, MZ, look, he said No one mentions the Legends Rainbow. You've got to give us time, mate. We did it. Ben Our Shape is one of the best Rainbow albums ever. Yeah, we all agree.
We agree.
All of us guys who vote for it, we love this one. And I agree with that as well.
Agreed.
Definitely. And Sunstorm, in my opinion, is missing him greatly because he was the best.
Absolutely. Them first two albums.
Oh, yeah.
Sheesh.
Without a doubt. I mean, if anyone is a Jolene Turner fan, they haven't heard the Sunstorm project, listen to the first two albums. They are
fantastic. It's actually Dara Sleeve Sunday there that introduced me to Sunstorm a couple of years ago. Just haven't looked back since. It's great.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Red Devils, hey Mark, take the hat off, let the scalp breathe. I took the step 2 years ago, buzz cut, shower time, cut in half too. I agree.
I'm actually going to get rid of all this week. I'm going to go all the way to the skin.
No,
just do it. He did do that, Lee. Red Devil's done that, and he never looked back.
You're going to be bald. You never look bald.
Do you know what, Mark? When you look at us face on, when you look at us right dead center on it, and you lift your head up a little bit, it looks like you've got a little Mohican. It looks
It does look like a mohawk. I thought that's what it was at first. Yeah.
It looks
it's almost like a little widow's peak. I got like a aged Dracula thing going on here or something.
Double lock.
Okay,
that's where I was getting the Yando thing from. Guardians of the Galaxy. It's that. It looks like that mohawk he has.
It's the island in the vast ocean.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're going to mohawk, you got to bring the deer horn thing back.
Yeah.
This is exactly why he does look like that bloke. Yeah, you're totally right there, Darren. The mohawk, isn't it? It is the mohawk. Yeah. Looks brilliant.
Mohawk. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. We're going to talk about the next one. This is another EP, so I'll let this one go, especially because I voted for it. So it's the Queensrÿche EP. So their first introduction to the world. Here we go. We've got it on set. Look at that.
Of course he has.
Yeah. Now, before we start on this, I want to tell you a little story that really wound me up with this. So this guy is very clever. I was hoping he was going to watch tonight, but I don't think he is. So he commented under one of my videos. I did a Sweet Oblivion album review, which has got Jeff Tate in. It only came out this year or last year. And I had a bit of a rant about Jeff Tate versus Todd La Torre at the beginning of the video and said, whoever, thinks that Jeff Tate would be better in Queensrÿche now, he's stupid because Todd La Torre's got a much better voice than Jeff Tate at this time. It's a bit like the Steve Perry and Arnell.
Yeah.
Jeff Tate is one of the best singers in the world. And to say the truth, he's improved as well lately. I've seen some stuff of him, he's got better and better. But, the fact is Todd La Torre's better off in the band. So this guy, he just picked up the video recently and put a massive message having a go about Todd La Torre is nothing like Jeff Tate. Jeff Tate's the best. You don't know what you're talking about. Having a bit of a, go at me. So I thought, what's the best way to wind someone up? It's to be nice, isn't it? It's to be nice because I'm not going to argue back. I just said, you've got some really great opinions there, mate. And I really value your opinion. And I thought that'll get him. That'll wind him up, right? He put back to me. He went, "I'm glad that I proved you right. I proved myself right." That's what he put.
He didn't get the irony.
Yeah, he just basically said, "I proved you wrong, and I'm happy about that." I was like, "For fuck's sake, you arsehole." You know what I mean? So anyway. Queensrÿche, Jeff Tate, obviously, at this time, at the beginning of the band. Jonathan was going to talk about this, but we'll go with Mark, and then I'll say a couple of words on this.
I was just going to say, there's only 4 songs on it, but 2 of them are still to this day, are in my top 5 Queensrÿche songs of all time. Queen of the Reich and The Lady Wore Black. They're just classics. I can't think of anything negative to say about them. The other 2 songs on the EP are not in the same league, but this is where they came. Obviously, their first album or EP, whatever you want to call it. I think they got better as they went on, but those first 2 songs they really made their mark with. They kind of established the type of music they were going to do. Very similar to what they did on The Warning. the first full length album that followed. But yeah, those two songs, I love them to death.
Again, I think the production was let them down a little bit because it was just a bit like the Ratt situation, really, and especially a band like Queensrÿche. And I mean, even on the Warning, the production weren't great, was it? It was when they hit Rage for Order, the money that went into that album was just unbelievable. But I'm with you on the best two tracks. They're actually Night Riders on this album, on this EP as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Now they actually did that with Todd LaTorra like a couple of years back live, and it sounded great. I'm not having a go at this version, but obviously updated version, a bit heavier. Yeah. Absolutely great. So another EP that made it onto the list. There you go. One of my all-time favourite bands, Queensrÿche. Absolutely superb. Okay, so we did jump one, but we're going to go back to that. Dalena's going to talk about that because it's actually, sorry, Dalena, I put you on the spot a little bit there, but this obviously did have 3 votes. It had, now this is a huge album, and Dalena said, why don't we let Darren talk about it? And I said, fuck Darren. He talks too much.
He did.
I fucking know he did.
I said he'll say enough. Don't worry about that. So the actual people that voted for this was myself, obviously, Darren, Mark Cloer, and now Dalena, and it's the huge album. I think Jam should maybe speak about this a little bit afterwards as well. No.
Jam, go and get a cup of tea or something. It's good to have a while.
And it's the huge, unbelievable band Journey.
It's got to be Journey.
And Frontiers. Hold on, Dalena, while you gather yourself a minute, just let me, because I forgot about the comments. I don't want to let people,
I'll go for it.
Piss them off. Yeah, look, he's got some Luca.
Blackfoot, yeah.
Great show, guys. Yeah, Blackfoot. I mean, yes, Blackfoot was sort of like, at times, they were a southern
rock. Like southern rock.
Definitely. But at times, very AOR as well.
Oh, must say thank you to Lucha, because he always watches our All Killer as well. He always puts comments on them. So
Lucha, yeah, brilliant, mate. So, yeah. I mean, doing All Killer, mate, it's not easy.
Thank you.
I sent my chat message about Rainbow Seconds just before James started to talk about it. Yeah, no worries, mate. That's cool.
No worries.
No, that's cool. So, right. Okay, Journey, the huge Frontiers. And we need to name our best track on this. I know what mine is.
I know what Mark's isn't.
All right, go on in, Dalena.
I know what mine is because I'm a girl and I'm predictable. It's got to be Faithfully. Because I'm a girl and I'm predictable, I know. But, huge album. Huge. Yeah. Is it my favorite? Probably is. It only reached number 2. And I'm not going to talk a lot about this because I am going to turn it over to Darren because he is the pro at Journey. But it did have 4 top 40 singles. After the Fall, Send Her My Love, Faithfully, Separate Ways. I mean, gosh, this album was so huge. To this day, I think almost all of these songs are on my travel playlist. I listen to them all. I sing them all at the top of my lungs every time they come on. It's such a huge album. I just can't. I can never get enough of Journey. Journey's probably my 3rd favorite band. Darren, you got to.
No. Before that, we're going to go to Mark. We're going to go to Mark next. We're going to go to Mark.
Mark.
He's poised like a cobra.
I didn't do a lot of research. Oh yes, I didn't do a lot of research on the specifics on where they charted and all that good stuff. I just know that it's just a fucking good album.
I'm just doing this for Darren's benefit.
And mine. Oh my god.
It's amazing.
Oh, look at that.
It's so amazing.
Love that.
Okay, Mark.
Listen,
Mark, your favorite single is
my favorite song on this album.
Yeah.
Edge of the Blade.
I knew you'd say that. I knew you'd say that.
Yeah, Mark, that was so shiny that I could see your fucking head in that.
I've said it before, but I got to say it again to piss Darren off. I saw him on my birthday in 1983. April 30th, 1983. Would have been my 14th birthday here in Columbia. Life-changing show. Steve Perry came out on stage wearing a University of South Carolina football jersey. The crowd just erupted, lost their mind. Brian Adams opened the show. He was just starting to anyway, this album, I have a hard time picking between this one and Escape if I had to pick an all-time favorite. They're so close. I love both of them.
Yeah.
With the exception of that one shitty song, Back Talk. I can't stand that song.
It's awful. It's awful. It's awful. It's awful.
Troubled Child's not real great either, but everything else on this album's wonderful. I love, obviously, Separate Ways is just a classic. After the Fall, I love that song. You never hear it on the radio anymore, but just incredible album.
Right, we're back talk. See how bad it is.
Right,
you gotta hear it.
You gotta hear it to hear how bad it is.
Right, we've run out of time on that one. We're going to go on to the next album. Right, Darren, go on, mate.
No, look. Red Devils. I said to him one time that we were sitting around this table where I'm at now, and I said, I think, in fact, I know that Separate Ways is my favorite song of all time. It is. There's no other song that beats Separate Ways for me.
And favorite video.
The video, like the beauty is in the cheesiness of it. It's great. I love it. But they didn't know what they were doing. It's early MTV. They look like idiots, but it's so great. It's so charming. And Red Devil said to me, he goes, be very careful announcing that a song is your favorite song, because you can change your mind tomorrow or you can change your mind the next day. And when he said that to me, I kind of thought, you're kind of right, because maybe something else. That was a year and a half ago, whatever it was. I'll never change my mind on Separate Ways. It is my favorite song of all time, because this version of Journey, even though it's not the original lineup, for me, it's the classic lineup of Journeys.
It's the best lineup.
It's the best lineup. It is the best lineup. I think Greg Rowley is great, but I think Jonathan Cain just brought something to the band in it with the songwriting. He just brought a fresher thing to it. The Escape lineup, effectively. He came in for the album before that. Mark mentioned it. Ross Valerie, Steve Smith, John Cain, Neil Sean, and of course, Steve Perry. Steve fucking Perry. Mark got to see him in '83. That is, like, if I have a time machine, am I going back to assassinate Hitler, or am I going back to that gig? I'm going to that gig. Brian Adams opening it, unbelievable. The few songs on it, though, apart from Separate Ways, which I could talk about all day long. You're right, After the Fall, absolutely brilliant song. Dalena mentioned it. Faithfully, probably one of the most stunning ballads ever released by any band ever. Edge of the Blade, which I can never not think of Mark when I play it. Rubicon. I love Rubicon.
Yeah.
Big fan of that. Send My Love. I know you're a bit lukewarm on it, Mark. I'm actually okay with it. Is it my favorite on the album? No, but I'm cool with that.
I like it. I don't like it as much as Faithfully, but I do like it.
Yeah. Send My Love, just beautiful. But Back Talk, I mean, it's the only, like, it's such a blot. It's such a fly in the ointment with this album, because it's perfection. Other than that, man, I could just chew up all the time here, Lee, talking about this album. It's so good. The songwriting, Sean's guitar, Steve Perry is at the prime of his life at this point. He's looking his best. He's singing his best. His performances are the best they ever were. They came back, as we know. We talked about it before with the later album. Steve Perry was never better in his career than on this album, on stage and on tape.
Agreed.
And Lee, this is why I just spoke for a few seconds.
Sorry, Jam.
I know. Listen, we knew if he went first or last, he was still going to say the same amount. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But I totally agree.
It's that passion is why I love Darren.
Exactly. You've got to have passion. These albums, you've got to have passion, haven't you, to talk about them? Otherwise, it wouldn't be.
Definitely. Yeah. And I'll tell you something about that Journey album was that I must have heard some of them songs. I don't know how many fucking times, but I can listen to them again and again and again. Separate Ways must be one of my most played songs, and I can just play it again and again. It just doesn't get old.
It never gets old. It never gets old.
It's not like Sweet Child of Mine or fucking Ace of Spades or something like that. If you like it, it's a good that you can have a track like that. You don't get bored of, because there's a lot of tracks I can't play ever again that I'm fed up with. You know?
And I'm absolutely right. You're exactly right there, Jam, because I've loved tracks as much as I've loved those tracks in the past, but I can't listen to them now. So it just tells you something about it, doesn't it? It really does.
I can be in the car, Jam, and Separate Ways finishes, and I just go back
on again. Yeah.
Play it again.
Brian, what is wrong with you?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Well, I can say this. If I went on a date, Faithfully was probably the first song I was going to play when she got in the car. So
Giving us some instruction already.
Exactly.
I mean, I didn't know a girl that I went out with that didn't love Journey. So
right.
Oh, look, Red Devils is loving the fact that you fucked Darren up with that. But listen, that never gets old either. Hearing him tell you about that concert, I tell you,
never.
I'm extremely jealous about that concert too.
It's like your dream concert. It's like putting together your dream concert. That's it. Yeah.
That was probably my first real date too. I took a fiery redhead named Ginger.
Of course, that was her name.
Real original name, man.
How many bases did you get to?
What's that?
Did you get a kiss afterwards?
Always red now.
His face just turned ginger.
We played at the banjo that night.
Wait! Put your head down. I think your whole head is red, Mark.
Lee, can I cap off the conversation on this album with just one other thing? It's the fact that Dalena can talk about an album that has probably one of the most romantic ballads of all time, and then Mark can say he loves Edge of the Blade because it's just a rocking song. That's the beauty in this album. It's something for everyone.
Exactly.
Except for Apart from Jam.
That's got to be Journey.
Apart from Jam, yeah.
I've just never heard it. You know, I might like it.
No, it's good. No, absolutely.
You've never heard it? What, did he say he's never heard it?
No.
Oh, we've had this conversation.
I'm not a fan of AOR particularly. I'm never going to slag it off. I just don't listen.
To tell you the truth, Dalena, I mean, in Britain with Journey as well, it was a lot different. They weren't at the forefront of everyone's mind. You had to like that sort of music to get to hear it.
I don't really consider this album AOR though. I mean, this was just a good rock album.
Yeah.
I mean it's got the ballads obviously, but Separate Ways is a pretty heavy. About as close as Journey got to hard rock was this album.
Yeah, agree.
That can put people off though. That can put people off.
Last album.
If someone like Jam heard Who's Crying Now or Faithfully, it probably hate it because But if you just play Jam, Edge of the Blade, he'd probably love it. So it's a mixed bag for sure.
Lee, you mentioned they weren't big in England, and you were around at the time. Perry did say, I don't know if you guys have ever watched Jonesy's Jukebox at all with Jonesy from the Sex Pistols. He has his own show in an LA radio station. Oh. Perry said when they were playing baseball stadiums in America. Remember, there's no social media back then. They're playing baseball stadiums in America, and when they came to England, they had to play to about 30 people. And Perry went, "No thanks, we'll go back to where we're from." So
yeah, I mean, they would have been mentioned in Kerrang. I mean, obviously, me and Lee would have read, and probably Darren to a certain extent would have read Kerrang and metal magazines and hard rock magazines. Journey wouldn't have been in there. I'm surprised Lee likes them in a way. We weren't particularly exposed. As I say, they weren't big over here particularly. I know that the Separate Ways. I know that song. I've heard that on the radio. Obviously, I know that one, which is a good song. I do like that. But They're not big.
It's just the time. Huge in America, not big in Europe. It's what happened.
That's happened so much in it with so many bands.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's brilliant though. We spent quite a bit of time on Journey there, didn't we? I wonder why.
They deserve it.
Before we get off of it, I just got to mention they had an Atari video game, a Journey video game for Atari, and I had it. That was one of the most cheesy video games I ever had, but I had it.
I think I had that too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
What do you do in it? What is it? Just Steve Perry fighting aliens? What's going on?
It was like they were trying to get the band past all the groupies to get into the arena. It was very cheesy.
Brilliant.
Right.
Sounds brilliant. I'll play it. I'll tell you.
When he went to the
I'll play it now.
It was kind of like Frogger, but you were trying to get the
I was going to say
band.
that kind of like Frogger, but
Yeah.
Oh my God! I never even knew about that.
That is the
Thank
most
goodness.
ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Right.
Look at
Brilliant.
Pure Metal Fan Magazine. Look, I'll tell you, he's back. He's back with Dio. Look at that. Maybe we might mention that. Not really sure yet. Okay. Next one. Right. I didn't think about this, but now Pure Metal Fan Magazine has mentioned Dio. We've also got another album that we could sort of do a one against the other.
Yeah,
We could do a one against the other. So, because I did have Ozzy next, Bark at the Moon, and I've also got Dio, Holy Diver. So obviously competing big time at this time. So people in the comments, you can actually say which one you prefer, Dio or Bark at the Moon or Holy Diver. Let us know in the comments, live comments. That'd be cool. But first, we're going to talk about Ozzy, Bark at the Moon. We've got Brian, Mark, Jonathan actually voted for this, and myself. So, Brian, you like this one then, mate?
Yeah, my second favorite Ozzy album behind just absolutely love this album. And Jakey Lee thoroughly showcased his talents, even though he didn't get credit for any of the songs on this. Fell madly, especially with Bark in the Moon and You're No Different, Waiting for Darkness. Really liked the album. Once again, Jakey Lee stole the show on the album. He should have got credit, even though Sharon kind of cut him out of it.
Yeah.
Love the album. I'm kind of lost for words at the moment, but the production I thought was pretty good. It was recorded at Ridge Farm Studios in Rusper, I believe, England. Epic and CBS were the labels, and it was produced by Ozzy, Bob Daisy, and Max Norman. It was his third studio album and released on the 15th of November in 1983. And it kind of changed where Ozzy was, I guess, changed to the synth-infused pop-type deal.
Yeah.
There were more synthesizers on this than his previous albums. Had decent commercial success.
Love the video, by the way.
Yeah.
Moon was fucking fantastic, wasn't it? What a video that was.
Yeah, it peaked at
Absolutely
number
loved
19. Yeah, it peaked at number
I don't think
19.
Jam liked it, though. Don't you like the werewolf video there, Jack?
Well, it's just cheesy shit, isn't it? I mean, it's
Well, exactly. Exactly.
If you look at it now, it's fucking terrible. But yeah, I mean, sorry, I didn't vote for this for a reason, because I compared to the first two albums, it's not as good for me. I love the title track. I'm surprised you voted for it, Lee. I don't think you liked it particularly, but I don't think there's any other good songs on it, personally, apart from the title track.
I just, to tell you the truth, I would only vote for the two Jakey Lee albums, because I just fucking love him. So I just think he's the best guitarist they had, controversially. But I'll go to Mark first anyway.
Sorry, yeah.
That's all right, mate. Bark at the Moon, mate.
Yeah, this was the first album after Randy Rhoads had died, obviously. Ozzy obviously had a hard time after Randy died. He briefly had Bernie Torme step in and do some tours or did do some live shows with him. Then he had Brad Gillis, who, of course, later went on to Night Ranger fame and Damn Yankees. Jake actually beat out George Lynch for the job, which is amazing. I can only imagine what it'd been to have George Lynch in Ozzy's band. But I love this album. This is my favorite Ozzy album. I know Jam said he only likes the title track. I like the title track, but I'm a little bit overplayed. But You're No Different, Now You See It, Now You Don't, Rock and Roll Rebel, Center of Eternity. I love all those songs. And
So Tired.
Radio. So Tired was a great ballad. Had a couple of kind of filler tracks, Waiting for Darkness.
Spiders.
What was the other one? Yeah, Spiders was a bonus track. Slow Down was the other one. But also, like Brian said, Jake got totally screwed on the songwriting credits for this album. I don't really blame Ozzy because I don't think Ozzy had a whole lot to do with that. I think it was all Sharon. It was all about the Benjamins to share it to Sharon, and Jake stuck around for the next album, I guess, thinking maybe things would get better as time went on, but it didn't. He still got screwed out of his royalties on that, and to this day,
he's still fighting for it.
Anything out of it. So,
well, I just think this is another thing with me with the Ozzy albums. I only had 2 Ozzy albums as well when I was growing up, and it was the 2 J.K. Lee ones. I mean, Ultimate Sin's my favourite album of Ozzy. I fucking just love that album. But I mean, I think this album, like you've mentioned a couple of them already, you two, but the standout tracks on this, the Bark of the Moon song, I don't actually think that I've overplayed it. I love that song. Watched him play it live at Download as well. You was probably there as well, Jam, when they opened with that. With what's his name on the guitar? Fucking hell.
Is that what?
Zach Wilde was on the guitar that night, but he done a brilliant job as well. Rock and Roll Rebel is one of my favourite songs. I love the stomp. Yeah. And he sort of carried that stomp over to the Ultimate Sin, that sort of thumping, stomping sort of. And it probably was a lot more commercial. But I probably liked that part of it, actually. Because I was in the 80s, I liked that sort of commercial sort of side that America was bringing. And I think Ozzy got brought into that commercial side as well a little bit, didn't he, on those 2 albums?
I grew up listening to my first Ozzy was actually I've said this before, the tribute album, obviously with Randy, which is the first 2 albums only. So for me, listen to this album after the first 2. In fact, most of it's from the first album, which is Blizzard of Oz is his best album, probably, apart from I like No Rest for the Wicked is my favourite probably album of his, actually. I think it's most consistent. But for me, it was just a bit of disappointment. I like Ultimate Sin, don't get me wrong, but this is probably my least favourite.
This is that typical, isn't it? It's that typical when you what album you had or when you got into them. It's just with everything, isn't it? It's very subjective, isn't it? We've got loads of comments, by the way, because I've been leaving them alone. Here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Oh, I've read that one already. So what we got here? We got. I'm googling the game and buying it. Yeah, don't blame me, mate. You might be able to find a little bit of footage on YouTube.
Probably so.
What about Diamond Head's Canterbury? Love the dark, moody feel of the album. Diamond Head, big band, really big band. Obviously, Metallica covered some of their stuff.
New Wobber.
I don't know who Duo is, but I think he means Dio over Ozzy every day. Here are my 1983 picks, guys. So here we go. This is his overall picks, I suppose. Dio, Iron Maiden.
Some of them will be coming up, I'm sure.
Yeah, there'll be some of them mentioned later. Raven, Satan, Marillion. Dio, Holy Diver. I think there's a few Dio fans.
Yeah, seems to be.
Dio Any Day. Bark of the Moon was Ozzy's weakest 80s album. There you go. Agree with you there, Jan. Survivor is metal. We're rock and metal on this channel, by the way. Pure Metal Fan Magazine. No, it's not metal, of course it ain't. But this is rock and metal, and they're definitely
Rock.
Light rock.
I mean, they're rock. I mean, they are rock.
They
What
are.
else are
They
they?
are.
They're not
They
fucking
are.
pop. Like,
They are.
A lot more rock than some of them that were on the '84 show.
Yeah, we call it soft rock here.
Yeah, soft rock. Yeah, you're right. I mean, on this channel we cover lots of rock and metal, no matter what rock it is. So if it's AOR, that's rock.
Rock is rock.
Don't watch my channel. Keep going.
100% went commercial. Must be talking about Ozzy here. Going commercial doesn't always mean bad. I agree. You could call it melodic rather than commercial. Commercials, I don't really like that saying so much. I try not to use it too much. Melodic,
Yeah, fair point.
probably. Then we're going to go on to the one that everyone agrees with me on. I've actually got the album for once. Look, bought for my birthday.
You out. Check you out. Look at this.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that.
You're building up your collection a bit, Lee.
Yeah, a little bit. And what I was really happy about getting this album, because I thought, they're probably going to change it or something compared to the original, like the inside sleeve. It's all exactly the same. The pictures of the band.
Oh, cool.
That's cool.
Exactly.
Look, I really like that, actually. That's really cool.
Is it new then?
Cool.
Is it new?
Brand new. Brand new. My missus got it for me for my birthday. So
Cool.
the original Vertigo label.
It's 22 grams. Is it heavy vinyl? Is it the new style, the heavy
It
ones?
feels fucking heavy.
Yeah.
I tell you that.
Yeah.
A lot more heavier. So
You
I haven't
can
played it,
actually
obviously.
see it the way you're holding it. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old ones are so flimsy, aren't they? They're rubbish.
Yeah.
Original
So
ones.
Dio Holy Diver, obviously the best metal vocalist ever. Right.
Murray's, Murray, Dio's Monster is what drew me to this album. I said, I got to get this.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Exactly.
was my introduction to Dio.
And I don't know if I told you, I painted that on my wall, that cover, before on my bedroom wall when I was a kid. So my parents loved it. They did. So I've got myself, Mark, Jonathan voted for this, Jonathan Johnson, and Brian. So we're going to go to Mark first of all on Dio Holy Diver while I hold the cover up again. There you go. Am I the only one with this album?
I've got the CD.
Fuck yeah, you ruined it for me. Look.
Nah, yours is better. The CD just not as good as the LP, but
Look at that. Brilliant. I said I want this one. I said I want this one or the last in line. That's what the only two I really wanted. There you go.
I hated when Dio left Sabbath. Those two Sabbath albums he did were just
Phenomenal.
on another level. I hated when things didn't work out. After Live Evil, they had a lot of turmoil during the recording of Live Evil, and Dio just decided to branch out and start his own band. So he took Vinny Appice with him, and they formed Dio. And I often wonder if any of these songs had been worked up during the Sabbath days, or if they're all total original, to the Dio band. I don't know if any germ of the ideas of these songs existed during the Sabbath days or not. I'd be interested.
Retooled into the new project is what you're saying?
Yeah. You almost have to think he had some of these ideas, because it was only, a year prior. But there was called.
It seemed like a lot of music could be done in the 80s, though, didn't it? Like literally, you get an album every year, wouldn't you, from a band? So.
Yeah, but even before he left, I think there was talk, and I think it was part of the tension anyway. I think he already had a deal to do a solo album even when he was still in Black Sabbath. So I think that was part of the bad blood tensions, that he was going to do his own thing anyway. But just a great album. I don't rank it quite as high as I do Heaven and Hell or Mob Rules, but it's pretty damn close. I think it's the best Dio solo album in the catalog. Holy Diver, the title track. it's a bit overplayed, but it's one of those I'm not tired of hearing. It still gives me chills when I hear it nowadays.
Same with Rainbow in the Dark. I don't get tired of that song.
Great track. Absolutely great track. Also, as Jonathan voted for this one as well, obviously, I know he's a great fan of Vivian Campbell. I mean, the guitaring on this album is just amazing all the way through it. I mean, the difference now, I know he plays a completely different role with Def Leppard, but, you know, this is a pure metal album, and it's just so heavy. And the guitaring, he's just an amazing guitarist. You know,
I feel bad for Vivian Campbell to a certain degree.
Don't.
Well, no,
until he goes to the bank.
Well, yeah, until he no. Oh, yeah. Don't feel bad for him. He's a millionaire, but he is playing a bit of cosplay with Def Leppard, isn't he?
Yeah.
Do you get me? He's just like going through the motions with it. Yes, his bank balance is better for it, but his creativity probably isn't.
No.
His bank balance definitely wasn't good here because Dio paid him about fucking £100 a month, I think.
Yeah. Do you want the art or do you want the mansion? Right. What do you want?
But yeah, he's brilliant. I think one of the best guitaring albums ever recorded. I mean, it's nothing against Tony Iommi. You know, I love Tony Iommi, but some of the stuff he was doing on this album, it was just amazing, wasn't it, Mark? I mean, you know, it weren't just bashing out chords like Tony Iommi was. The intricate playing just constantly through this album is just amazing. Really,
he was a different kind of player for sure. I mean, Tony was he was one of those riff merchants. He just, you know, played with raw power, whereas Campbell, he was one of the first. Well, obviously Eddie Van Halen around the same time, but you know that put all that, as you like to say it, the fiddly bits, you know, kind of popularized that. He was just a totally different type of player.
And to
lot
play,
of
I saw a live concert of Dio really early on this tour, and you know, usually when a guitarist is on his own and it's live, they can't feel the song like they can on a studio album because they play rhythm in the background and as well as doing the solo, so they overlay the guitars and all that. But he was so busy on the guitar he could do it live and not lose a step. Absolutely superb guitarist, brilliant. What an amazing album! So let's get it out once more. Look at that.
And this album, if people are, you know, kind of new to metal, this is one of the staple albums you're going to tell people to listen to.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. That I mean, I'm weirdly, I haven't even thought about it, but that and Last in Line, I don't even know what my favourite is still now, but I love them both. We're done on that, guys, because we're going to move on to the next one, which is the fives. This is the fives now. The one I was going to speak about, we're going to skip that because it's got an extra vote. But the next one is a huge band. It's actually the 12th album I think we're going to speak about, so we're getting there. It's Metallica's debut album, and Kill 'Em All. Here we go.
You're throwing us
and
for
Jam.
Okay, right.
And Jam. Well, yeah, because the one I did had an extra vote from Dalena. So
Don't explain it. Move on. Yeah, cool.
Anyway, so
right.
Metallica, Kill 'Em All, debut album. So who voted for this? We've got Jam, Jonathan, who's not with us, Brian, Darren, and Mark. Jam, you can actually got the album in your hands, mate. Give us a rundown on this one.
I'm just going to read off the back of it. It says, "Bang that head that doesn't bang." There you go.
Nice.
Right. Sorry, I thought we were doing something else. Right. Next one. Right. Okay. So debut album from Metallica, released on Megaforce. Sorry, 25th of July. Classic lineup, obviously Cliff Burton, obviously I think Dave Mustaine's got quite a few writing credits on this. I believe he didn't. I don't know if he actually played on it or not. I'm not sure.
No, he didn't actually play on it.
Yeah. But then obviously
the credits are there though.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, the Four Horsemen is redone on. Yes, the Four Horsemen is Mechanics on the first Megadeth album. Is the same song, pretty much, I think, if that's right. Yes. Anyway, it was originally called Messed Up Your Arse. That's what they were going to call it, or as we say in England, arse rather than ass. I guess it would be ass, wouldn't it, in America? And it had a different album cover, which you can look it up. Toilet. But yeah, this is what it's called now. Yeah, and it's a. Is it thrash metal? I don't know. It's the start. It's fast. It's fast and heavy. I wouldn't say it was the start of thrash. I mean, if you listen to the first Anthrax album, first Megadeth album, first Metallica album, not really thrash. I'd say the speed metal, very much like sort of Motorhead, very fast. Got some
Metallica light.
Yeah. So it's getting there, but I think certainly on the second album is when they probably hit thrash metal. So it's a good debut. There's some great songs there for Jump in the Fire, Four Horsemen, as I mentioned. Seek and Destroy, probably one of my favourite Metallica songs. I remember, again, there was a documentary we had on England, Arena, which was like a documentary programme about things, and they had one on heavy metal, and this is about 1988. And they showed Metallica playing at Hammersmith Odeon, quite a famous place over here. Obviously, Motorhead did their No Sleep Till Hammersmith album there, and they played Seek and Destroy, and that's when I first heard Metallica. Obviously, it was an old song at this point. This has been about 1988, and I just love Seek and Destroy. What a song that is! It's a staple of the live show now. They usually play it towards the end, possibly as an encore. And it's just a really good album. It's not their best album. I'll be the first to admit that, but it's certainly consistent. Certainly introduced you to what Metallica are all about. There you go.
Cool. I didn't vote for this one. Probably that. I'm the only one that didn't, apart from Dalena. But we'll move on to Bryan. Got anything to say on this, Bryan?
Like you said, it was their debut album. It was recorded on a budget of about $15,000 on an independent label. It's raw, it's gritty, it's them in the beginning, and like he said, the Four Horsemen and Hit the Lights and Pulling Teeth. I mean, I can just jam on that all day. It's Metallica in the beginning, and it set off a firestorm after that.
Yeah. Cool. Mark?
Yeah, the Four Horsemen is the first Metallica song I ever heard. Just blew me away when I heard it. At that time, I was real heavy into Ozzy and that sort of thing. And the guy came to school with the cassette, and he said, "You got to hear this song." So we went out to his car during lunch, and he put that cassette in his tape deck and turned Four Horsemen up to 11, and it just blew my fucking mind. I mean, it was the heaviest thing I had ever heard at that time. Back then we did call it speed metal. I think the term thrash came a little bit later.
Yeah.
It's funny how the subgenres of music have kind of changed over the years. Back then we called Metallica speed metal, Megadeth speed metal, and now when you hear the experts talk about speed metal, they put Halloween into that. They put Accept into that. I don't really consider those to be speed metal, but whatever. But yeah, this is where it all began with them. I don't think they had any idea how big they were going to be. They were just kids at the time, and very talented kids. I've got a buddy. He's quite a few years older than me. I think he's about 58. He saw Metallica when they were a club band, but long before they had a record deal. In fact, I think Mustaine was even still in the band at that time. And he talks about how they were just, you'd go to see them on the weekend. There'd be 50 or 60 people in the club. And just a couple of years later, they just blew up and took the world by storm. So,
yeah, I expect they're quite pleased they didn't call it Metro Up Your Arse now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, they did a tour up in the Northeast with Raven, and that's where he saw him. He said he saw him like every week. He was in the Army at the time, and he was stationed up there. And he said he'd go see him like every weekend, and it was just hard to believe they went from that to what they are now.
Well, in fact, they always called a Bay Area band, aren't they? Aren't they actually from LA? Didn't they move down to?
Yeah, they moved. Or they went to New York to hook up with the producer, Johnny. They called him Johnny Zazulu, or whatever he was. I don't remember if he's a producer or manager or what, but he's the one that kind of put them on the map.
I think Red Devils likes Metallica anyway. I think Red Devils is a Metallica fan.
Lee, you know what's interesting about this album is the fact, and I think Brian touched on it already, and something that kind of stuck out to me, you know, listening to the album again this week, and even just looking at it. I think, Brian, you said, what, 15K it took to produce this? They were coming out of the clubs, as Mark said. We've been there. We've gone backwards. We've been there later in the 80s. We've seen the future. You know, we've seen how albums can get the budget can get fucking bloated. You know, Hysteria, for example, go through the roof, where you've got to sell 4 million copies of it just to break even. This record, this first Metallica record, proves that you can make a record for 15K and make a good record for it as well. Yes, it's an indie label. Yes, they're coming out of the clubs. But you can make a record for 15K and we'll still talk about it 30 or 40 years later. It doesn't need to be bloated like GNR with their, you know, with Chinese Democracy and whatever else, trying to get albums made. Def Leppard with Hysteria. It doesn't need to be, you don't need to break the bank. Just make good music. And that's this.
And people will buy it. And going back to the metal up your ass thing, the album cover was supposed to be a hand carrying a dagger coming out the toilet aiming at somebody's ass. So,
yeah,
I like this cover a lot better.
I think that's you can get the T-shirt still though, can't you?
Yeah.
T-shirt. Quite cool.
Oh, favorite. Just to. Sorry.
No.
No, just going to finish off. Lee, favorite track for me. The lads mentioned their favorite tracks. Favorite track for me, track number 3, Motor Breath. Astonishing. Love it.
Cool. I wasn't a fan of the album. I just didn't get on with it. I obviously did. Ride the Lightning was huge for me. Master of Puppets even more. Justice for All, I still like that. I like that a lot better now. We spoke about Justice for All a lot, me and Jam. It's Jam's favourite album, I think.
Definitely.
And then, like, obviously, they hit a different thing after that, didn't they? You know, got a bit more melodic.
Shit. No,
but there you go. I mean, I just could never get. I tried with this album. I could just never get into it. I think it was just one of those things. I think it's where I think the first album I heard was Master of Puppets. And that probably wasn't a good thing to hear first when you're trying to get into the first album. Master of Puppets just blew my mind, you know. So there you go. So very cool indeed. We're moving on to the next album. Oh, what a fucking album this is! This is Iron Maiden and Peace of Mind. Okay. So yeah, I mean we've got that other one to come yet. It's got another vote. So, oh man, this is a fucking brilliant album. So Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind. I haven't mentioned any dates these are coming out, but I've got the 16th of May on this one. Who wants to start off on this one? We've got Brian, Mark, Jam, Jonathan Was, and me. Who wants to start? Do you want to go on this, Brian? You're a bit of a Maiden fan.
Oh, yeah. This is the album that drew me in. This is where I first started listening to Iron Maiden. This one's the one that just captured me.
This is your favorite one, isn't it?
This is my favorite Iron Maiden album ever. It was, like you said, it was 16 May of '83 is when it came out. It was recorded at Compass Point Studios in Nassau, Bahamas. Label was EMI, and the producer was Martin Birch. But this album, I guess this and Motley Crue Shout at the Devil completed my conversion from kind of the pop aspect that most kids were listening to of my age. Just drew me into heavy metal at that point. The composition, it's.
What's your favourite song on this one, mate? What's your favourite songs on this one?
Favorite song on this one is of course there's Revelations. Absolutely love that song. The Flight of Icarus and the Trooper, I'd say, were my top 3. Die With Your Boots On is another good one. It's just, just hooked me in. There was nothing like it back at the time, and it just captured my soul. And I've been a Maiden fan ever since.
Yeah. Well, do you got this one as well, Mark? Don't hear you speak about Maiden that much, though, Mark. You're not a huge Maiden fan.
Well, not as big as you, Brian, or Jam. In this era, I kind of lost track of them after I think somewhere in time where I started losing track of them. But this album, my favorite, one of my all-time favorite Maiden songs is the Trooper, and I love Still Life.
Oh yeah.
I'll never forget. The backward speaking at the beginning of Still Life. This was a response to a lot of the TV evangelists and whatnot that were
devil worshipping.
Yeah, they were on all these bands about being devil worshippers, and of course, Maiden, they definitely played it up with their album covers and Number of the Beast and all that. So they didn't exactly try to distance themselves from that. But I'll never forget a buddy of mine. His dad had a reel-to-reel tape player. I don't know if you remember those.
Oh yeah.
We recorded that backwards backmasking portion on his reel-to-reel player and played it backwards for hours trying to figure out what he was saying. Never could make it out. Of course, many years later, when I discovered the internet, that's one of the first things I looked up, and it's actually Nico McBrain, and he's basically saying, "Don't meddle in things you don't understand." So that the great mystery was finally solved. But yeah, just a great album. The drums. This was Nico's debut, and he really proved himself as a drummer. He's an incredible drummer who doesn't even play double bass. Really doesn't need to. He just on another level. And another thing,
that drum, that fucking intro to. I know that people would just listen to that who just say, "Oh, yeah, that's a good song," but that actual intro to that song, and just to think that's his first song where Eagle's there, he's on, and that fucking hell, that song is just amazing, absolutely.
Another thing that stands out in my memory. I told Brian about this the other day. The youth group in my church took a road trip to Cherokee, North Carolina. It's about a 3.5 hour drive. And me and another guy had a boom box, and we only had 2 cassettes. We had Pyromania and we had Peace of Mind. And we played those 2 cassettes nonstop the entire trip, up and back. My dad was driving the van, and after about 5 hours of it, he finally just yelled to the back, "Can you please play something else?" Every time I hear these 2 albums now, that's what comes to my mind, hearing my dad yell, "Please play something else."
It's amazing though how much Peace of Mind, I know it like the back of my hand. Every little, I think Brian said, every nuance on the Live After Death album, like the Peace of Mind album, the Power Slave album, for me, I just know I could, in my head now, I could run through the whole album and sing it. Every guitar melody, every drum beat, is just ingrained. I haven't got that anymore. I don't know about you guys with music. It's not the same, is it? It's just so much music now that you don't get these albums ingrained on your brain. And Peace of Mind was one of them. I still haven't made up my mind whether I like this or Power Slave more. Power Slave, I always think is my favourite album, but I think that's because of a couple of tracks. If you actually look at Peace of Mind across the board, it's such a solid album. Every single track is amazing.
Amazing.
Just brilliant. Who hasn't spoken about it? We've all spoken about this one, haven't we? Because we had Who? Oh yeah, Jam. Jam. Why you
one with the album.
Get a beer quickly, and then I want to listen to what you're going to say. But you want to carry on for a second?
No. I think Mark and Brian have covered everything on it. Obviously, Nico's first album and all that. I think there's a classic period for me of Maiden, which is probably for most people, it's this album. I mean, people, I suppose you could include Number of the Beast, actually. I suppose you've got this album, Power Slave, Summer in Time, Seventh Son is my favourite album. But this album is brilliant. Going back to the story, I used to have this on my wall as well, photocopy of this sleeve, and the person who looked after us after school used to scare my brother with the album cover. He used to run after him and he used to run away, and was scared to death of Eddie. And my brother's called Eddie as well, ironically. He's called Ed, so that's quite ironic. But that's always reminds me, just a good story that just every time I see it, I just think of my little brother being scared, which is a bit wrong, but yeah. No, that's a great album. Yeah, and Still Life, as I say, I think Mark left Still Life is my favourite song on this album. Underrated Iron Maiden classic, Still Life. Brilliant. There you go. There's Dio.
Hey!
His little legs going because I'm striking. Oh, all right. Anyway, we finished Peace of Mind. What an amazing album. I've got a couple of comments here. I can't. Trying to get the dog is so awkward. Oh, you have to get down, mate. So we got where did I leave it? Oh yeah, I'm sure this is Martin here. Pure Metal Fan Magazine. I'm sure that is actually Martin. You should get Martin Simpson. He's putting out some killer metal. That is Martin himself. I'm sure it is. He is right though. He's put out 2 tracks. Martin Simpson. He's a friend on Facebook. He's done 2 tracks, Mark. You would love him. He's a Christian artist, but he's done 2 tracks. He's paid for Rob Rock to be on one song and Jorn Londe to be on the other, and they're both fucking brilliant songs. Okay. Absolutely brilliant. It's called Martin Simpson's Destroyer of Death. There you go. But it's a couple of brilliant tracks. Metal. Yeah. Mates, damn you, tube, unsubs me. Oh yeah. Kevin's got a problem where he keeps subscribing to my channel and he keeps unsubbing. He's the only person he subscribes and then he unsubscribes automatically. And he has to keep doing it. It's not a trick I'm playing. It's not a trick I'm doing to get more subscribers.
Yeah. He's only got one, really.
He's the only person. He's the only person because he keeps coming up. Kevin has subscribed to the channel. He's subscribed about 50 times. Metal Forces magazine put out their first issue in '83. Do you guys used to read that? Oh,
no.
I only read Kerrang and later on Metal Hammer.
Metal Hammer Raw, yeah.
In Britain. Peace of Mind Without the best album of '83. Mark says, well, it's very close. I said, don't mess with the things you don't understand. Yeah, that's what Mark was talking about. Lucia Kerrang. Yes, that's what we listen to. Metal Mania. So I think that Pure Metal's a bit of a Dio fan, don't you? Peace of Mind, my favourite. Bought the album. Jam is the man. Yeah, you're the man, Jam. You're the man, Jam.
Thank you.
Shameless plug. Yes, it is. I've got to admit, Martin, I'm really glad you're on it, Martin, because your 2 tracks are both brilliant. Honestly, guys, you've got to listen to them. Martin Simpson's Destroyer of Death, especially the Jorn Londe one, man. I mean, amazing songs. Really cool. Anyway.
I'll listen to them.
You would love it, Mark. You would absolutely love it.
I'll listen tonight.
Good, cool. Right, we're going to move on. We've done the 5s. We're moving on to a 6. I don't think we had a 6, but now we have because Dalena joined us. We've got Kiss, Lick It Up, is now a 6. So we've got Darren, Brian, Mark, Jam, Dalena. That's only 5, isn't it? I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But we've got 6 anyway. There you go. And myself. Oh, and me, of course. And me. I voted for this one as well. My favourite Kiss album. Just get that in before we move on.
Well, you do like the non-makeup Kiss, which we'll get into.
Only because of Gene Simmons.
Right? We'll get into it. The only member of Kiss that looks worse without the makeup.
Exactly.
Well, Vinnie Vincent wasn't too pleased to look at either. So.
No, true. Yeah, true.
I'm not
Go
sure
on,
we're
Darren, I'm going to let you go on this one, Darren. You can start on this one.
Okay, so I'm gonna kick off on that. So this is the first record without that trademark makeup, and what I'm gonna do is I have a bit to say on this record, but I'm gonna just throw this bit out to you guys because Mark, you were around at this point. They take off the makeup and they're ready to go. They got Vinnie Vincent in the band. They got Eric Carr in the band, obviously. This record comes after my favorite Kiss album, Creatures of the Night. Was this the right point in their career to take off the makeup? We're 11 albums in now. Is this where it was right to do it?
I think so. It had run its course.
Yeah.
The music was changing like it does in every decade. If Ace had stayed in the band, I would say it would have made sense to keep the makeup. But Vinny's, as I think you said it before, Darren, Vinny's makeup, the Egyptian warrior or whatever they called him, was the worst makeup in the Kiss faces. It wasn't very well accepted, and it was just time. I think they wanted to get away from all the gimmicks and just try to make it as a musically, try to make it on the merit of the music rather than the gimmick of the makeup and the stage show, and they still kept a lot of the stage shows. Gene still breathed fire. He did that throughout their career without makeup, so they didn't totally get away from all that, but I think it was time.
I think you're right. I think you're right. That's why I was interested in what you would have thought on this, because let's face it, the music isn't necessarily utterly dissimilar from the previous album, but taking off the makeup and just getting rid of the gimmicks. And I was interested in what you would have thought, because at this point I'm like a year and a half old here, right? So I wasn't. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know about Bryan or Lee. I don't know if they remember watching it, but I watched it live when they unmasked on
MTV. Yeah.
I'll never forget. What was his name? The VJ JJ. Can't think of his last name. He hosted the little show where they unmasked, and I remember vividly when they showed Gene and they showed Paul, they looked exactly like I thought they would.
Right.
A lot of people were like, "Oh my God, that's what they look like." I'm like, "That's exactly what I thought they would look like." It wasn't a big shock to me to see them without makeup.
Yeah.
Of course, Vinny at that time, Vinny was new to the band. Nobody knew who the fuck he was anyway, for the most part.
Gene
it
actually
didn't matter.
Gene actually looked scary.
Even though he played on a good portion of Creatures of the Night, he wasn't. They didn't, picture him on the album, and anyway, he was just kind of an unknown at that point.
Lee, I'm going down this route because we haven't even talked about the music yet. But the reason I'm bringing up the aesthetics of it is because it matters. Because Kiss is a visual, visceral band, right? That's part of their charm. It's the makeup, it's the look of the band. And that's why it's important to call out before we talk about the music, is taking off the makeup, does it propel this album into a different level than if they just carried on Creatures of the Night Part 2? It matters to talk about it because Kiss are makeup, and they might have gone a decade after this and went no makeup, but it's very important up to this point to talk about that.
I agree. I mean, it was a huge thing to do, obviously. And the thing is now, you couldn't get away with it now, could you? If you was one of them bands that someone would fucking take a photo of you without your makeup on, wouldn't they now?
Yeah, they'd be out for a meal with their wife, and then someone would take a makeup. Hey, there's Gene Simmons from Kiss with his makeup on. That's the way. And it'd be on Instagram,
Mind you, Slipknot even managed it. I remember seeing the first time with Corey Taylor without the mask. So they managed to get away with the masks and not be seen. But
fair point.
I don't know. I think it was the right time because the 80s were so different when they to the 70s. I mean, even musically as well. I think them. I know you say the music didn't change a lot. I think it must have done for me. I felt it did.
From the previous album?
It was sort of changing a bit. I think it was changing a bit on Creatures of the Night, a little bit, and then leading into this, you heard glimpses of the 80s on that Creatures of the Night. But before
sorry. I want to be. I don't mean to cut across you, Lee, but I want to be clear. I don't think I get Creatures of the Night reset the band a bit, but I don't think that this album was necessarily sonically totally different from Creatures of the Night. It felt like an extension of that album.
I wouldn't say it was, and I like Creatures of the Night as well. That's probably why it's my favourite Makeup era album. Because
Agreed.
It's like heading
Well,
towards
Creatures of the Night was the first metal album, really, because before that they were just a hard rock band, weren't they? Creatures of the Night onwards was rock to glam rock, if you like, glam metal.
There was almost a 70s rock and roll band to me, and that's not something I was into. But then the 80s came, and they were more like the bands that I liked, that melodic hard rock type stuff.
So changing the image. And the image was a gimmick in itself. Changing the image and taking off the makeup in itself was a gimmick. But it probably propelled it. It gave them a little bit of notoriety, and it gave them. It was good press. It was good press.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it was a good move, but that's probably because I like that era, you know. And
I do love the non-makeup era.
Yeah, and I don't actually like the music since they put it back on. So there you go.
Right. Anyway,
they turned like they said they wanted to get rid of a gimmick, but Gene Simmons finds a way to make a gimmick out of anything. And I think the unmasking on MTV at that moment, the anticipation was so built up that they turned this into a positive where, you know, even my parents wanted to see what these people look like.
Right.
Because then what are you watching? Well, they're getting ready to show Kiss without makeup. My dad sat down and my mom sat down. I couldn't believe it. So
I'll tell you what, as well, I mean, obviously they're doing something right, because even though I'm not a huge fan with the makeup on, and I believe when they're live now, they hardly play, that's most of the stuff they play, the rock and roll sort of stuff, you know, with the makeup era. I think they play some stuff from the 80s, but not a lot. It's mainly the stuff in it with the makeup. And I'd love to go and see them. Like, even though I know they probably don't, I don't give a fuck about their miming or whatever. I don't know about all that. But when I saw them announced for Download, it made me want to go to Download to see Kiss because of the whole fucking thing, you know.
Well, it's the theatre of it, Lee. Myself and Sleeve Sunday saw them in Belgium. I've told you this before. And Paul Stanley, you know, even the age is now, he's coming out over the crowd on a zip line, and Gene is still blowing the fire. Kiss are theatre, you know. You're not going to see Kiss for the art of it now necessarily. They're not at that point in their career. They're not at that point in their life. They'll just put on a show. They'll put on a rig, you know, and you'll have an experience at it, and it's fucking great.
It did. Absolutely brilliant. I saw them in Birmingham, supposedly on their last ever tour, until they've announced they're playing Download now. So it would have been the last ever time they played in England, but obviously Download's been delayed a year, and they're still headlining. So that will be the last time I ever see them on their last tour. And it's just such a great show. And if I don't care.
Yeah, it is a great show.
It's just absolute.
It's amazing.
Theatre. It's amazing. You got to watch it.
It's amazing.
So you got to come.
Lee,
you got to come to Download.
Absolutely. Lee, just on the album itself, a couple of things I'd say for anyone else wants to take up the mantle. The lead single, or the album title, Lick It Up. One word, it's fun. It's a fun single. The cheeky sexual undertones, lick it up. I mean, come on, you know, like, that's great. You know, it'll always make you smile. A lot of Gene Simmons on this album. A lot of Gene Simmons leading it off vocally. So I thought what I'd do is I'd give you a song each for both from Gene and from Paul that are standouts for me. 2 deep tracks. Track 7, I'll go with Paul Stanley first. Track 7, A Million to One. Check that one out.
Great song.
Yeah, great song. Brilliant song.
A Million to One. I was going to say that one.
Oh, yeah.
Good one.
Yeah.
And track 8 from Gene, I'll give you one from Gene. Track 8, Fits Like a Glove. Vinnie Vincent's guitar is the standout for that song. So check out track 7 and track 8. You get a bit of a flavour of Gene and Paul.
Cool. Excellent. Cheers, mate. Million to One. Wow, what a song.
Million to One. Great song.
Dalena, you've been very quiet for a while. Come on, let's have something from you.
I was going to say A Million to One and Give Me More were the two I was going to say.
Oh, good call, Dalena.
Yeah, those were the two. And look it up. I mean, I agree. It's fun. You got to. Yeah.
And also,
I saw them 2 years ago, and when they sing that, it's still fantastic. And you go for the production. You don't go for the tunes. You go for the production. So, but yeah.
We've got to give a shout out to All Hell's Breaking Loose just because of the midget in the video. Because of the midget in the video. Absolutely fantastic. I love a midget.
I was going to say that was kind of All Hell's Breaking Loose was kind of the prototype of what we now know as rap rock.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That kind of started it, way back when. When it came out, I was like, I don't know if I like this or not, but as time's gone on, I really like that song. And the other standout to me is one nobody ever mentions, Not for the Innocent.
Oh, I love that song, yeah.
That's a heavy,
great song.
Kind of takes Gene back to the demon persona.
To tell you the truth, that's my favorite. That is my favorite Gene Simmons sung track.
Okay, yeah, I love that one.
Rock and roll hell for me, but anyway, whatever. Yeah. Dalena, what was that? What was that deep track you called out? I didn't catch it.
Give me more. I'm into one or give me more of the two I said.
Give me more. Yeah. Oh yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm not sure you can say midget anymore.
You can't. Little people.
Little people.
I've actually been told off for saying midget.
Vertically challenged. Is that what was that?
Vertically challenged. Yeah.
You know what? When I first met my wife, she took me out to some club and we was watching a comedian, and I had my T-shirt on, which I shouldn't have had on. It's got a little line with an arrow that just there. It says, "I've had it up to here with midgets." It says. And just honestly, she'll tell you. And I had this T-shirt on, sat next to her, and a midget came from behind the bar and sat right next to me. Right next to me, yeah. A little person. And I was just like, oh my, it's just typical. It's just...
Of course they did. Fucking brilliant.
I apologise to any people on here that are midgets. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Are we all done on the Kiss album? It's fantastic. I think we're just
wonderful.
Right. Okay. This I've got to go through a few comments.
Yeah. Sleep Sunday needs a shout out.
Yes. Right. Let's.
Warwick Davis is on here in a minute. He's going to have a go at you.
Exactly. Honourable mention: Holy Diver, Kill 'Em All, Bark of the Moon, Pyromania. That's Mark's honourable mention. Sleep Sunday, you imposter. You're having a go at your mate there, mate.
I did.
Don't be covering up Saturday. You're drinking Sunday's beers.
That is true.
And Mark's done a few more there. Look, shout at the devil. No, say no mercy and balls to the wall, Ratt. Right, okay. So, did you guys cover Dio already? Yes, we have.
Yeah.
We have, Martin. We've covered Dio. We love Dio. I even had the album, mate, just to let you know. Like to Kiss Alive's 1 and 2, the most good albums, live album.
Yeah.
Oh, look, this is Martin. Now, when you check them songs out later, just chatting with the producer about Destroyer of Death single for number 3.
Mm.
Man, I don't know if he's going to get another great vocalist on there, but them two have been brilliant so far. Regarding Mark, Bryan, and Dalena, what time is there to justify beer and vodka? What time is it out there?
Like I said, if you've got to, you've got to come up with a time where you can start drinking. I don't need that kind of negativity. So
yeah, it's 4 o'clock here, but I started at 2.
Brilliant. Very good. What's this all about, Darren? Have you passed 1,000, Darren?
No, he's taking the piss, Lee, that he's only just created that channel and has no videos, but he's just passed 1,000 subscribers.
It'd be bad if he did, wouldn't it?
It'd be awful. I'd retire. Congratulations, Sunday. Connor Doyle, that's my friend Connor Doyle. He's tuned in. Connor Doyle's tuning in for the first time, Lee. Good guy, one of my good pals.
Oh, all right, Connor. How you doing, mate? Right, arrived late. What albums have you covered? Oh my god!
Sabbath, Thin Lizzy.
Oh, give the lowdown. I'll go for a leak.
Sabbath, Survivor, Thin Lizzy, Quiet Riot, Ratt, Dokken, Journey,
Rainbow,
Beer Time.
Rainbow, Queensrÿche, Ozzy, Dio,
Metallica.
Kiss, Metallica, and Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
There you go, mate. There you go. That's sorted out. And last comment. Not going to negativity, Brian. Only love from Ireland here. Drink anytime. So yeah, Darren's, mate. We've only got 2 albums to cover, actually. Obviously, we've just lost everyone near enough. But we've got 2 albums to cover. And both of these have had full votes. Everyone has voted for both of these albums, so that's cool, including Jonathan, who ain't here. So 7 votes for each of these albums. So
Thank you, Red Devil.
Thank you, Red Devil.
so we'll wait for Jam to get back because we've got 2 albums only. And like I said, Darren, you weren't here, and Brian, they've got all the votes. Everyone's voted for these, so that's cool, isn't it?
I think these will go down pretty well with the guys in the chat.
Yeah, definitely. So the first one, so we got album number 15 we're going to speak about. Like I said, everyone's voted for this. The first one is Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil. So everyone, so I don't have to name everyone who's voted. Everyone has. We've got the cassette there. Dalena, you want to kick us off on this?
No, you didn't.
All right, okay. Sorry.
Lee, can I ask one question?
Sorry, Dalena. She has voted for it, but I'm not going to lie. I gave her to prepare.
Come on, Dalena.
She told me that, no.
Come on.
I didn't mean that. I gave her the one she was going to start off on, so that's unfair. She can chip in with this. But Motley Crue, let's have a little... I haven't heard Mark's sexy voice for a while. We've got to go with Mark on this one. Right, go on in, mate.
Second Motley Crue album sold 2,000 units in its first 2 weeks, which was pretty impressive.
Wow.
It is impressive.
I first heard this album back in the day, very briefly. We had a teenage nightclub here in town, and on, I don't remember, it was Friday or Saturday nights, you could get a group of guys, go on, they had a little stage, you go on the stage and lip sync playing air guitars to whatever song you wanted to play. And
Love that.
a group of guys I knew went on stage and did Shout at the Devil, the title track. And that's the first time I had ever heard it, and it blew my socks off. By far my favorite Crue album. It was so heavy. They never recaptured this magic to my ears. I love the way the album starts with that spoken word part in the beginning. Shout at the Devil. That's just perfect way to start it. And they were definitely playing up the devil worship, angle with this album, which is very popular at the time. Let's be honest. That's kind of how you got
the pentagram, didn't they?
Yeah. To get
the
success, you had to be controversial, and they had a little disclaimer on the album that said, "Caution: this album may contain backward messages." And turns out somewhere on there, there is a backward message. I don't remember exactly where it is, where they say Jesus is Satan, played backwards.
You didn't have to put it on a reel-to-reel, did you? So they can make a great one.
No, I didn't on that one. But just such a heavy album.
Yeah. I mean, I think Brian was just about to say it actually was going to be called "Shout with the Devil," wasn't it? At first, this song.
I think so. Yeah.
But during the time, actually, Nikki Sixx, if you've read the book, The Dirt, it goes in a lot more details than the actual movie on Netflix did. But at the time, Nikki Sixx was reading the Necronomicon. And there's a lot of things saying, while he was reading this book, a lot of weird stuff was happening in his house. Drawers were slamming, opening, people are scared to go in there, but
that could have been the drugs.
That had a heavy influence on this album. But like Mark said, it said he's, to me, in '89 when Dr. Feelgood came out, I think it recaptured a lot of what Motley Crue was missing up till that point. But this is my second favorite album. My brother actually bought this album, and I said, "What you got there?" He said, I just saw it and I bought it, so let's listen to it. So he'd listen to it. And when he wasn't there, I'd take it to my room and I'd just jam it all day because mom and dad were at work. I was by myself. So I think I wore out that album more than he did. But it's one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Yeah. Have you got the T-shirt on?
Yeah.
Love that.
It's good, great T-shirt. Yeah,
That's cool.
Great t-shirt.
I just a few. I remember the vinyl of it. I wish I had it. It was black. It was before Metallica. It was blacker than black vinyl. It was the cover was totally black. It had a pentagram, but it was embossed, and you couldn't actually see it until you heard it at certain angles. So it's much better than it's not. It's never as good on a CD or a reproduction or a T-shirt. Much on T-shirt. It's cool. The actual album, it was like a embossed, wasn't it? It was difficult to see it. And it just I mean, what a great album. It's so heavy. I mean, Looks to Kill. What a song. Too Young to Fall in Love. And one of my favourites is one of the underrated ones is Knockin' Dead Kid. Great song, really heavy.
Love that song.
Fantastic riff. Fantastic. And there's even a Beatles song on there that Lee won't like. Helter Skelter. So there you go.
Yeah, they actually made a Beatles song good. I mean, that's a fucking miracle, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So, I did want to save that little comment till last. But,
sorry, mate. Sorry, mate.
But no, you're right. You're right, though. The most overrated band in the world, they made it sound good. So that is pretty amazing. That.
And Bastard was one of the filthy.
Bastard,
it was one of the Filthy 15.
Yeah.
You know, by the what is it? The group
PMRC.
Yeah, the PMRC, because they said it dealt with, violence and wanted to go kill somebody, but the song was actually written about somebody that had done them wrong, and they're just biding their time to get their revenge.
Consider that bastard dead. That's what I say.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what, though, this album, I mean, it had so much bass on it as well, didn't it? It was a real bassy album. Absolutely fantastic sound to it. Who hasn't gone on? Dalena, what's your favourites off of this?
Looks That Kill.
Oh, I love that song.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love that song. I mean, women locked up in a cage. What better can you get?
Yeah.
Pentagram flying everywhere.
I like Red Hot too.
Red
Oh,
Hot's
yeah.
good.
Oh, Red Hot. Yeah, Red. That's a good song.
Yeah, I think if you actually look at this album and you look at each track, you've got to say it's so consistent in it. You know, when you can look at like Theatre of Pain, and I actually think that's all right, but there's some tracks on it you're like, I could do without that one, I could do without that one, I could do without that one. But Shout at the Devil, every track.
Good.
Is it everyone's favourite? It's my favourite.
Yes.
It is mine.
Yeah.
And I love that beautiful little instrumental. You hear all this beautiful instrumentation. Then at the end it says, "God bless the children of the beats."
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, love it. I love it. Right, Darren, you're got anything to say about this one, mate?
Yeah, no, look, everyone's kind of covered it. What I would say is you've been calling it track after track there. One that I really liked was the album Closer. I really like Danger, track 11. I really like how the album. Yeah, I loved how they closed off the album with that track. Just absolutely brilliant. Didn't peter out. Great track to close off the album. One thing I would say is there was a bit of controversy on this, wasn't there? Mark, obviously, we've talked about, Christian rock and all that kind of stuff. There was a bit of controversy over this, the devil red and the pentagon and or the pentagram and all that kind of stuff. The pentagram.
That's definitely more evil.
Was this just all hot air, or was there actually a bit of controversy about this in the Christian community?
Oh, there was a lot of backlash.
Oh yeah, big time, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I imagine. It didn't take a lot, to tell you the truth, in America to have a backlash at that time.
That's right.
Satanic. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I'm Maiden. I mean, it's just a joke, isn't it? Number of the Beast. It's a joke.
Yeah, I remember going my first Motley Crue show, and there were groups outside with holding up signs, Christian
Protesting.
groups.
Oh,
And I just happened to walk by them, and I looked at them. And I said, "You do know I'm a Christian, right?"
yeah.
Well, fuck,
And they said no.
did that with Striker.
Yes.
Darren. Yeah, that's what Mark was just about to say. The church said that Striper were evil.
Yeah.
So,
They're a Christian rock band.
Yeah,
exactly.
but they didn't look. They didn't look the part. They had long hair. They had earrings, and they played loud guitars and loud drums. So automatically, they were considered evil. So they called them what they called them. They called them wolves in sheep's clothing. Is what they
Exactly.
referred to them as. Yeah.
My dude, did
Anyway,
David Koresh play metal music, didn't he? And we know what happened there.
yeah.
Sorry, move on.
Anyway, that final track, Danger, it's a good, moody, atmospheric rocker to close off the album, Lee. So, good album, great album.
Cool. Before we move on to the last album, a couple of comments. Cassette. What the fuck is a cassette?
I love that.
I remember 8-track. He must be as old as us. Sabotage, Siren, Sabotage. Yeah, early stages for me with Sabotage. I love Sabotage at late 80s. Was brilliant, and moving forward as well. Looking forward to some new stuff from Sabotage, but no one voted for that here. A bit too early for me, but great band. We're going to talk about the last one. And because Dalena is such a special guest here tonight, she's going to start this one off. So, Def Leppard. Yeah. We go to Great Britain to finish. So Def Leppard and Pyromania.
Pyromania, what a fucking album!
Oh yes.
We all love this fucking album. I don't know how many albums it sold. 10 million albums did it sell? I don't know, but there's so many great singles on this album. And this is the album they brought the beautiful Phil Collin on. Even though Pete was on every song, this is where they brought the beautiful Phil Collin in on. I don't know how many songs he actually played on, maybe 5 or 6, but yeah, so many good singles.
You know what, Dalena, that's still I was wondering who Jam looked like. Do you reckon Jam looks a bit like Phil Collins?
He has got a bit of a Phil Collins thing going on, actually.
I reckon it's same stomach muscles, do you reckon?
Can I see the abs? Jam, let's see the abs.
No, I don't think I'll do that, but
did I mention that Phil Collins is beautiful?
well,
I
Yes.
I'll this, but yeah, I mean, I don't think I've got the abs for it. But
To answer your question, Dalena, Phil Collins played on songs 1 through 3, 6, 7, and 10.
So a lot.
So a lot.
So a lot, yeah. He's so brilliant. I love Phil Collins. But Photograph, Rock of Ages, Foolin', yeah. I love the whole album. It's just brilliant. They play almost all the songs every time they play. Mark, how many Def Leppard shows have you been to? I know you were at this one in '83, right?
No, I didn't see him until '87.
What?
Yep.
I saw him twice on the Stereo tour. I saw him a couple times in the '90s. I've seen him, I think, 6 times total. But no, I did not get to see him on the Pyromania tour.
I didn't either, of course. But
Sad to say.
They do play a huge number of these songs today. They do, and it's just an amazing album. I can't get enough of it. Rock Till You Drop. I mean, it's just
They don't get old. This is another album where the songs don't get old.
They don't get old.
I think is this a 10 out of 10 album? I don't think it's a week back on it, is it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. 10 out of 10, without a doubt.
Go ahead.
Brilliant. Thanks, Dalena. That's superb.
Coming Under Fire is probably my favorite. You don't hear that one
what
too
a song! What a song! See the deep tracks.
Too Late for Love. Those two are just.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even Billy's Got a Gun. Great song.
Yeah.
Lee, you know the way you can do, like a fantasy football team. You know, you can kind of go, here's my fantasy football. I think on this album, happened as well with Hysteria a little bit, but I think this is the fantasy Def Leppard team, right? So, like, on the pitch, you have obviously Joe Elliott, the late great Steve Clark, Phil Collins, we've already mentioned a couple of times, the guys have mentioned, Rick Allen, who at this point has both arms. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but, it's pre-accident. Yeah, Pete Willis is chipping in. However, that's on the pitch. But in the dugout, you have Mutt Lang producing it as well. You have an all-round fantasy football Def Leppard team here. Behind the boot, in front of the boot, on the pitch, in the dugout. Absolutely brilliant. It's perfect Leppard.
Perfect Leppard.
Agreed.
And it's also heavy enough. It's the heaviest album, probably as heavy as High and Dry for me, that the English fans would like, but also the American audience would buy into it with the photograph and all that. You know,
Definitely. Agreed.
Lee, I was going to actually. That's a fair point Jam makes because about it being heavy. We've done a High and Dry album review. Was it me, you, and Mark, or me, you, and Rex? I can't remember who.
Me, you, and Rex.
This isn't whiplash-inducing change, but you can see the building blocks towards hysteria here, right? You're getting it. You know, Dalena mentioned the photograph, "Rock of Ages," which is just a timeless song. It's "Rock of Ages," you know.
Rock of Ages.
But it's not whiplash-inducing, but it's almost like the middle point between them High and Dry albums that you love, that heavier metal or heavier Leppard sound, getting towards hysteria. So where are you on it?
The thing is, I still haven't made my mind up whether I like this more or High and Dry more. I'm very, them two albums are the best Leppard albums for me. I don't know if you remember when we did 1987. Was that 87 when Hysteria came out?
Yeah.
You didn't have a go at me, but you sort of did. Right? So I've been thinking about this for a long time. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about this for 4 years, basically. Right?
Let it out, Lee. Don't hold it back. Let it out.
You sort of had a go and just made me say that Hysteria was good, but I've got. Now, only the other day there's another channel that I subscribe to, and there's a guy that's really good called. He uses his hands a lot. I've mentioned this before. The Lair of the Alchemist. Yeah, he's really good. He's an American guy, and he's doing a new series called "I'm Out." That's what it's called, and it's the time that he lost interest in the band, and his was Hysteria.
Really?
And he explained why, and he opened my eyes to a lot. He's a really good reviewer, and he said that he felt that there was no sort of feeling in Hysteria. It felt like a mechanical record, like it was almost robotic, like there was no grit in the band, there was no energy, not just because it was like I know they had to do this drum kit, obviously, for Rick Allen because of his losing his arm. And even the whole of the drum sounded like a machine. Not only that, the guitars and everything about it sounded like too perfect, if you like, just mechanical. And I totally understand what he's saying. It's just almost the rawness is completely gone out of the band. It's just hits after hit after hit. Totally understand the band doing it. Fucking hell, why wouldn't you when you make that much money? It's just ridiculous. And they actually said at the time, I remember this, we want to make a bigger album than Thriller.
Yeah.
So that was their objective, to make as much fucking money as they can. And I can't blame them for that. And it was a huge album. But yeah, for me, Pyromania is just fucking 100 times better than Hysteria.
But Pyromania is the prototype for Hysteria, Lee.
Yeah.
But listen, it's got aggression. Fucking Joe Elliott's vocals, he's screaming on this. It's the last time he did until he just started talking for the rest of his career. You know, he was. Do
you want to get Ratt?
Going? Yeah, he was going. Yeah, exactly. And then it led to that. And you're right, and that's why I still can't make my mind up whether I like High and Dry better, because that's even rawer. But I think Pyromania perfected the melodic side of it, and it kept the heaviness at the same time, and the energy. And then I think that energy was just gone in the next one, and it was a pop record, wasn't it? It was a pop rock metal sometimes record. And that's why them deeper cuts on Hysteria were the best ones, the ones you hardly hear. because But I mean, it is only my opinion, obviously. But I don't get sick of this album. Like I was saying earlier on, this album I could play till the end of time, but I can't play Hysteria. I fucking can't play it, and it ain't because it's played all the time on the radio. It's because it's a different album altogether. Anyway.
Okay,
Sorry.
You're almost convincing me.
Darren, no, we love Hysteria.
I love Hysteria.
I won't get on board with that because I did see Def Leppard play with Sleeve Sunday. We saw Def Leppard play Hysteria in its entirety in Dublin.
So did I, and I loved it.
And you're bullshitting then.
No, I loved it because of the spectacle of the thing. I mean, it's just hearing them play all them hits. It's not seeing Def Leppard ever until 4 years ago.
But Lee, I don't think you mentioned that they went into this like they wanted to make a lot of money with Hysteria. This isn't about Hysteria, but I don't think they went into it with that. They didn't go into it going, let's just make a load of money. They went into it with the same affection that they went into making any album. It was just natural.
They wanted to be the biggest band in the world, and they near enough did that. There's a lot of bands.
Well, they probably did that for a period of time.
They did. And listen, all the American bands were looking up to Def Leppard like they were. We mentioned Thin Lizzy earlier on, didn't we?
Yeah.
This was the album I was talking about. When Phil Lynott and John Sykes heard Pyromania, they just went, might as well fucking give up then. Because it's that good. It was that good. The melodies and the hooks and the songs were just. I mean, they are. It's just a perfect album.
Well, you mentioned the album cover. What a great album cover as well.
Let's see it again.
Yes.
Another one I had on my wall when I was a kid. A photocopy of that. The side
Great
and
cover.
the sniper, whatever it is. Fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Anyway, I've had my say, so let's go to some comments.
All right, what have we got?
Look at that. We claim Def Leppard. Very cool indeed. It's been a great show, guys. Darren's comments are always on spot. Yeah, look at that. Luca says that.
We've all got our own fans here tonight.
He's going to subscribe to your channel as well, Darren, and Sleeve Sunday. Screw himself.
Cheers, Luca. Good man. Appreciate it.
That's my favourite comment of the night. That is funny as fuck.
That was good. What did Red Devils, or what was that last one?
Always having a go at me. Ridiculous. Hysteria.
Red Devils love Hysteria. Me and him eulogize over that. We sit around this exact table and play it. So, yeah, it's great.
I'm sorry, Red Devils. I still mean it. Congratulations, Liam, reaching 2K subscribers, and thanks for all the reviews you do. Found a couple new bands I love because of it. Oh, it's cool.
You know what? You're not going to big yourself up, Lee. Me and your pals here fully endorse that comment. Well done on 2K. You deserve it. You put a lot of work in, and congratulations on it. Absolutely brilliant. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll try and jam as much as I can. It's probably too much sometimes. But right, thank you, Mark. Mark says, thank you for all you doing these rock and metal albums year by year. 80s metal for me was the best decade. See you for 82.
Good stuff, Mark.
I love that. Look, we don't get millions of people watching this, but I fucking love doing these shows with you guys.
I look forward to it.
Yeah.
There's a good loyal little following there. You got the guys, you got Red Devils and all the guys, there. So there's, people are enjoying it who want to enjoy it, So it's good.
I'm getting a bit worried about it running out.
You usually have me down in the comments, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We do have Dalena making loads of comments, but we love having you on as well, Dalena. So we want you back again. That's no problem. The only thing I'm worried about is running out of years. I mean, are you lot worried or what?
Well, we go to 90, won't we? We'll run out of years.
We'll just go up to 90 and go backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
I say do the worst albums of the 80s.
Oh, fucking hell, yeah, that could be a good one. But
it's not a bad idea.
Very controversial.
You get more subscribers like that, more views because people like seeing.
People love negative.
They like seeing conflict. Yeah,
they love conflict. Yeah,
they do. They do. Has everyone had a little go on Pyromania before we go? Because I don't want to,
Well, I can say the last time I saw Def Leppard was like 3 or 4 years ago at an open air festival in Charlotte called Carolina Rebellion. And actually, we got to hear that show twice because when we pulled up in the parking lot, Def Leppard was rehearsing.
Sound
So-
check.
And Joe Elliott didn't sing all the time, but they played the whole song. And we were sitting outside. It was loud as ever. You know, Joe Elliott would maybe sing the first few lines, and then he would stop, you know, saving his voice for that night. But it was just awesome sitting in the parking lot waiting for the gates to open. You know, and they were headlining that night. So I basically got 2 shows in one that day.
I'll tell you what, now Brian's saying that, it's like seeing them documentaries in America where they've got you guys used to meet in the parking lot with the beers in the fucking back of the car.
Oh, I want to be there. I want to do that.
Tailgating. Who were they? Brian, who were they?
Oh, it was an open air festival. It was 3 days of music.
I'd love to do that.
It sold out. There was about 100,000 people there every day.
Having a few beers, Darren. Having a few beers in 1983 in a parking lot, waiting for Journey to come on. Oh,
Stop it!
I mean, fuck.
Stop it! Stop it!
It's not quite the same going to Brixton Academy, going down to Wetherspoons and sitting.
You're fucking right there, mate. It's cheap though.
Yeah, every show I go to, there's a cooler of beer there. So
nice. Man, I've just got to say before we go, we've got to do a couple of. If you've got any honorable mentions, I know we haven't got many because I haven't. Because basically, nearly all the albums that we spoke about are sort of like the ones that made the list. But Pyromania, what a fantastic album! 10 out of 10. I think we all agree on that.
100%.
I'm going to go round my. If anyone's got any honourable mentions, I'm going to go to Mark first. I know he's got a couple. What you got, mate?
Yeah, I've just got 2. Somebody mentioned earlier in the comments, Grim Reaper, See You in Hell. And then Steeler, which was Yngwie Malmsteen's first major project and had Ron Keel on vocals. Ron Keel discovered Yngwie Malmsteen and brought him into this band. I actually met Ron Keel several years ago at a KISS convention, and I got him to autograph the inside of this. And really nice guy. I had a chance to chat with him a little while, and I asked him about his very brief involvement with Black Sabbath, and he gave me some details on that, so that was pretty cool. But Steeler was had some really good songs on this album. It was kind of interesting.
Check that out. I'm gonna check.
Kind of interesting to hear Malmsteen in a real band where he had to kind of share the spotlight. It wasn't all about him. I mean, you can tell, no doubt about it. It's Malmsteen. I mean, he plays the same way he always does, but the songs are actual songs. They're not just showcases for his, Speed Demon guitar work. So, but anyway, Ron Keel, of course, went on to his own solo career and been around for a long time. But yeah, really good album that not many people talk about.
I like Ron Keel, man. That Final Frontier album he did with his Keel band is absolutely superb. He's a good guy. I know he actually messaged me a little while ago when I did something with Rough Cut. I did something on Rough Cut, and he had him on his show or something because he does a radio show. And he messaged me and said, really good reaction and all that. And I was like, they don't understand these artists that you look up to these people like through the 80s. Like that Keel album was just massive for me. And I was like blown away that Ron Keel would message me. I was like, what the fuck, But it's just weird. Cool. It's just strange. It's really weird. I've got a load of comments here, by the way, guys, because I should get through them, shouldn't I, before we go? And then we go around the houses again. Sorry.
Go for it.
We got Martin Simpson. Cool show, folks. He's the one you got to check out, Mark. Martin Simpson's Destroyer Chef. You'd like them as well, Brian, I reckon.
Definitely will.
Cheers, man.
Brilliant show. Red Devils, really enjoyed. Thank you. I've got some. Here he goes again, Luca. Look, bunch of honourable mentions. Asia, good band, British band, isn't they? Asia.
You got Steeler down there too.
Yeah.
Heavy Pain and Steeler. There you go. Thanks again to all you metalheads. Cool. Steve Sunday. Well played, Luca. Yeah, I like Steve Sunday. He's a laugh. Yeah, look. Martin Simpson, Steeler, you'll dig my song Destroyed Dead, lots of shredding. There is. He has the guy from who's the guitarist? Is it out of Narnia or something like that? Who's the guitarist? You know the band Narnia, the Christian band. Really
I know of them.
Luca and Steve Sunday having a bit of a crack. Right, okay. Dalena, I know I asked you late anyway. You sort of was mentioning the ones we had on the list, weren't you?
Yeah, well, I actually forgot about honorable mentions, but because of who I am and because of who I love, I happen to know that Styx had an album in '83. Kilroy was here. So I have to mention that one. It was the last Dennis DeYoung album. But it did pretty well. Mr. Roboto, Don't Let It In. So yeah, I'm gonna say Kilroy was here because of who I am. Because it's
of course
going to see them 3 times next week in Vegas.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
3 times. 3 times.
3 times next week in Vegas. Yeah. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Dalena anyone who don't know, she goes on these road trips and just.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like really good fun, to tell you the truth. You know what I mean? But,
I kind of like them just a little bit.
yeah.
Dedicated.
You consider yourself a Styx groupie?
I wish I was.
100%. Tommy Shaw follows her on Twitter.
But no, I'm just a super fan. I'm not a groupie.
Dalena, considering as well, I messaged you yesterday. You done an excellent job tonight. So thanks from all the guys that you've done a brilliant job tonight.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
No problem at all. Jam, you got anything, mate?
Yeah, I've got a few. Marillion, British prog rock band, first album, I believe, Script of Justice Tier. I like Marillion. Don't get a lot of love on here, but He Knows You Know is a great song from the first album. Mike Oldfield, he of Tubular Bells, brought out Crises in this year. Mike Oldfield sort of, I guess this. It's sort of proggy, I guess, now. He does all sorts of things. Mike Oldfield plays all his instruments, does massive long compositions, and this album has got a song called Shadow on the Wall on it with what's his name? Roger Chapman, singing. Shadow on the Wall is like a metal song, almost, on this album, so that's a great album, Mike Oldfield. Misfits brought out Earth AD, which is a hardcore punk album. The hardest, because Misfits weren't that hardcore punk. They started off soft punk, if you like, but this was probably when they went hardcore. Green Hell, Double Lock, Death Comes Ripping's all on this. Ramones, Subterranean Jungle. Not great album, but Psychotherapy's on it. Pink Floyd's last album with a full lineup, if you like. More of a Roger Waters solo album. The final cut, not great, but there's a couple of good songs on it. Not Now John's a classic. Fletcher Memorial Home is quite a good song as well. And Slayer brought out Show No Mercy, which I think was mentioned earlier. That's it, isn't it?
Cool. Cheers, Jam. Brian, you got any, mate?
I go with I think these are the 2 that I forgot to put on my list because my list was actually in another room and I was actually in the bed when I sent you my list. But Slayer, Show No Mercy, and the debut album of Suicidal Tendencies, which was self-titled.
Cool. Before we go to Darren, because we love Darren going last, but before we go to Darren, CJ Grimmark is the guitarist I was talking about, guys, who's with Martin Simpson's Destroyer of Death. Brilliant guitarist, amazing speed and melodic guitarist as well. Mark, love Styx, but Mr. Roboto, no. What does that mean? What's that?
Mr. Roboto did not do well. A lot of people hated that, and a lot of people think that that's the reason why Styx broke up. It's not.
Including Tommy, right?
It's not the reason why. Tommy doesn't say that. But yeah.
She's very defensive about Styx, isn't she? Have you noticed?
Listen, don't go there, right? Don't.
I just remember they had was it Behind the Music? I remember he was not very happy with that album. He said they had been booked at some sort of hard rock or metal festival, and He said, "I've got to go out in front of that crowd and perform that song."
Yeah, they were in Houston, Texas, and Houston Tech. They were threatened with violence in Houston, Texas.
We know what they did to presidents there, so there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Domo arigato, Mr.
Domo
Roboto.
arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Roboto.
Someone's happy with your Misfits comment, Jan.
Good.
There you go.
Love the Misfits. Quality.
There you go. Cool. Red Devils, mate. Right, Darren. You got any honourables, mate?
Do you like Huey Lewis in the news?
I do.
I don't mind it.
Here, let me do this again.
But when Sports came out in '83, a little bit of an American Psycho thing. Yeah, look, Sports, Huey Lewis in the News, love it. Great album cover. Absolutely adore that album. It's never making this show, obviously. Bryan Adams, Cuts Like a Knife, was out this year as well. Love that. Loverboy, keep it up. Big fan of Loverboy. I will keep pushing that, and I'll never get it on them, but I'll keep doing it on my honorable mentions.
Darren, I would have voted for Loverboy had I had the chance to vote.
Love Loverboy. Love Mike Reno's voice. Absolutely love that. And final one then for me, Lee, is ZZ Top, Eliminator. Big fan of that album. I like it. Cool. And I can hear the groans in the chat room.
I was trying to think, because obviously Huey Lewis, when you vote for that, I was trying to think if anyone else votes for him, I didn't know whether to let him on the show or not. Would you?
Lee, here's the deal. I know that I get my little mentions in on the graveyard shift of these videos, and that's perfectly fine with me. I'll mention Huey Lewis at the back end of your videos. Perfectly cool with me. I'm all right.
Okay. All right. Thanks, mate. Brilliant. Thanks a lot for that. I've only got one because it was a bit of a sparse year for me. Apart from obviously, I nearly voted for all the ones that actually made the list, but the only one I've got is the one that someone mentioned earlier on, Y&T, that no one ever votes for. What is the matter with you fucking lot? You fucking are idiots. You need to like Y&T. Obviously, they were called Yesterday and Today originally. They become Y&T. Dave Meniketti is one of the best vocalists and guitarists out there. So you need to like them. I'm never going to get to talk about them. There's about one more album I like of theirs. But please don't do a sympathy vote. But it's called Black Tiger for 1982. Black Tiger, Y&T, all right?
Don't do a sympathy vote, but it's called Black Tiger.
It's going to have 6 votes next time.
Anyway, we've got a couple of more comments just before we do go, which are called, my wife saw Styx play at a high school before they hit it big. How about that?
Wow.
That's cool, isn't it?
Nice.
Huey Lewis, I need a new drug. And CJ sent me a video of a killer riff. This is Martin Simpson. Oh, this CJ Grimmark as well. You've got to hear him to believe him on these 2 tracks. I know I keep pushing Martin Simpson. You've got to listen to it. It's only the afternoon for you guys, so you can go off and listen to that after. Anyway, thank you very much for coming on, guys. As always, I have such a laugh on here. I look forward to it every time. And I look forward to 1982. You start now, Darren. Don't leave it till last minute. I need you to do your list. All right.
I know. I am the. I am the bad one in class. I get it. Get your homework. Get your homework in on time, Darren.
Yes, but Darren did mention that my thumbnail said August instead of September. So thank you for that.
Well, Sleeve Sunday told me that. And I passed it on to you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Look, thanks for everyone who's been watching and commenting, especially. We really do appreciate it. It's such a laugh on here. I'll see you later, idiots, and see you everyone who's watching at home.
Later.
Until next time, guys.
Beautiful.